Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Odan Nerd here. Welcome to your Devember live stream rather for December the 29th. We're getting really close to the end here. Apologies for the late delay. Obs is being a bit of a butt. It spent a bunch of time telling me that it couldn't record the stream while it was streaming because I didn't have a video card in my computer. And it seemed like it was going over to the other computer. So it was probably going somewhere, but I thought it behooved everybody and myself to actually make sure that that was actually correct before I started doing something. Um, my light situation a little different here. Hard to say. Speaking of light situations, you can really see now the area behind me there is the area where the new video recording is going to happen. And I got some the last bits of equipment. I need some light stands are coming and should be here in a couple of days, actually. So assuming the mail goes the way a person might like it to, we could theoretically be recording in there at least, well, some parts of the next video, depending on when it comes and when we set things up. I could record the next video there. Otherwise, maybe the one after that. But we're getting really close on that one now. Speaking of getting really close to things, we're really close to the end of Devember right now. So it behooves us, since one of the things I wanted to do here was actually get the editing part of YouTube Editor or YouTuberizer, depending on which name you use for it. I use those both interchangeably. It was originally YouTuberizer. I named the package YouTube Editor, and I'm talking about it as YouTuberizer now because that's what it was in the last November. Mm, this tea tastes like cookies and cream. So what I'd like to do is actually get it editing something, and I have done a minimum amount of looking into what might actually happen for something like this. So is the only thing to it is to do it. We're gonna test some stuff out here and see what we have. Um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be exciting. One way or the other. We're going to send some data up or not. Uh, yeah, so we'll just see about that. So I think we should scratch my ear and jump directly into yon live stream. Let me just double check here. That still thinks that in theory, oh, we don't want to scroll anymore, do we? Oh, my MacBook updated itself, and now it's not as concerned with actually responding to input as it used to be. This thing is really old. I got a whole line of dead pixels about that far across the screen that alternates colors. Today it's red. Some days it's green. I mean, I guess they're not strictly dead pixels because it's displaying something wonky there, but anyway, enough fiddle faddle. I already wasted 10 minutes of tonight's time trying to actually make sure that I was actually doing something. And yeah, we're trying to put off um, having to fiddle with stuff. So I wouldn't think we can do that. Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Welcome to tonight's live stream. If you use the links that I try to remember to paste into the first comment in here and pin, so that you can skip past the introduction sequence and get right to the video goodness. Tonight's task is to actually add the editing part of YouTube editing, or at least start laying groundwork for it, or at least see if it's possible, or at least see how unhappy it's going to make us, because we're almost at the end of November. Got a little bit of a late start tonight because OBS was being a button telling me that my computer did not have a video card in it, which definitely would make it hard to capture the screen and stream it out, but technically as a GUI application also kind of makes it hard to pop up a dialog box to tell you that there's no video card. And there is, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. But yeah, so we're getting rolling here, and as we can see, we have a few pages open here, and we're going to discuss what it is that we're actually going to try to do here, and then go ahead and do it. Now, before the stream started, I looked into this in petite point, a tiny little amount. And if we jump over to Sublime here, the thing that I did prior to the stream was this. This used to be one scope, which was just YouTube.read-only. Now we have the scope of YouTube.force.ssl in here as well. And I'm not entirely sure at the moment if I need both of those or not. We're going to see. But the idea is that when we communicate with YouTube over its web service using the Google library itself, this stuff up here, the Google, basically the super dependency that we created earlier in the year to be able to do this with existing Google libraries and such, you have to tell it what scope of data that you'd like to do something with. And that is everything to do with if you've ever logged in with OAuth in general, like say with Okta, or logging into someplace with your Google account, or logging into someplace with your Facebook account, things like that. You Or even more things are doing that. And I think it's very standard. Like even if you were to log into something with like Twitter, you get the box that says an application with this name wants to have access to your data, and these are the things that it can do. Do you want to allow this? And you say yes, no. And part of this is displaying that information to the user so they can make an informed decision about whether or not you can do something on their behalf and what that something might actually be. They decide if they want to trust you or not. For example, if it's just see your email address and see the descriptions of your videos, you're probably okay with that because people can do that on YouTube already. But when you add in this YouTube Force SSL scope, which um, I don't know why that means I want to modify data because it seems like it would be YouTube.readWrite and not YouTube.force SSL. I mean, I know why they do that, why you'd want to do that. You'd want to force SSL, but nevertheless, that one tells you that you can see, edit, and permanently delete YouTube videos, ratings, comments, and captions, which is exactly something you can do with this. And that's when you have to start thinking, do I want to do this? So what I did was twofold. I modified this so that instead of just being the read only, it was this one. And up here in the Google API for the console, the developers console, I guess is what you'd call this, the Google APIs for YouTuberizer. This used to be the only scope that we could ask for, YouTube read only, which is, as we see here, view your YouTube account. I added in this one, which is see, edit, and permanently delete your YouTube videos, editing, reading, comments, cap. Now this really seems like it's got an overlap on this. We're going to test that in a minute, but I edited the OAuth consent screen to include both of those things. I don't know if that was strictly necessary because the code does like ask you here. But this remains to be seen. Now, one other thing that I did here is that because I'm using sensitive scopes, which are these ones, information on your account in YouTube, which theoretically might not be available to the common public, like seeing the descriptions and links for private and unlisted videos, are things that aren't necessarily available to people. Unlisted, yes, because if you gave someone the link, but private, no, those are locked down. And this one here, which actually allows you to modify something. These are the kind of scopes where when you ask for these, that Google needs to verify your application, pardon me, to make sure that you're doing things on the up and up. They're the level of trust on this operation, right? Um, which is why when you log in with this application, this YouTuberizer, if you've ever tried it on your own, if you've using this code, it tells you that YouTuberizer wants access to these things, but before it does that, it tells you that this hasn't been verified by Google, and as such, proceed with your own risk. And it even hides the I know what I'm doing, let's continue button to get people out of there. So I modified that here. I think that is required, but also I moved it to be in test mode instead of in production mode. And I'm assuming that's something that's happened fairly recently and this got uploaded because there's no way in heaven and earth that with this thing I would have left it at, yeah, this is production level stuff when it very clearly isn't and it never will be. Part of the reason for that being that because of the APIs that I'm accessing, there's a little blurb that says that I'd have to go through a full security audit, which could cost like from $15,000 to $50,000 US or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's nothing that's ever going to happen in a billion years. So, but it wouldn't let me make these edits without trying to submit this for verification. So I changed it to be testing, which means that there's now a specific set of people who can use it, which is just me. But that's only for my version of this. That's not for anybody else's. So there's nothing to worry about there. So I modified this and I modified the code to have those same scopes. And then the last thing I did was come over here to this, where the videos overview has an update section like so. Say we want to actually update something, and we're going to play with this in the API Explorer just to see what we got here. If I could maybe convince this to go away so we can see more stuff here, because my big fat head's in the way. But you tell me if I'm reading this wrong or not. This is why we're going to test with this operation. Okay, this has one common use case, which is described below. The buttons below the description populate the API Explorer, blah, blah, blah. Now, Here's the deal. This requires authorization with at least one of the following scopes, which is this one or Force SSL. Now, this one very clearly specifically has a thing for um, read-only access. So I'm not sure, at least I think, unless I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Okay, no, that's different. So YouTube and YouTube Force SSL. Okay, so maybe that's why there's a Force SSL on there to make sure that this only works with a secure connection. So maybe that'll boot us or something. I don't know. Um, and it goes on to say this. Now, if you've watched any of the other live streams, you kind of know what it is that we do here. In fact, we can even look for some of these things, spin through the cache to an actual request we might actually be making in here, not initting or fetching video details, for example, is one. But let's say we want something a little bit different, like getting the details of a channel. What we need to do is oh, am I looking in the thing? No, no, I'm not. This is making an extra request. So this is the one we're looking at. I forgot what I was looking at there. So you make this thing and you provide this request the name of a channel ID. Actually, this one doesn't. This one just takes all of the channels, right? So what we do is we create a YouTube response to the channels endpoint list, which is this one right here. And when we create it, we're providing arguments to this. One of those is mine, which indicates, please, I want to know about my channel as opposed to someone else's, which requires you to know the channel ID, and it gets into a lot more fiddly stuff. And we absolutely don't want to be modifying someone else's channel. We only want to be monitoring our own, so we're using mine as true. But we also pass this part information here, which says what things do we want to get back when we ask about channel information or playlist, the list of playlists, or the list of things that are in a contents. These all work the exact same way. They take some number of arguments, like this one takes the name of the playlist you want to get and how many results you want, and what part of the data do you want? And there's a few different things we could put in here. And if we came back to our channel list, they're actually enumerated here. These are all the parts that we have. We want to know the unique channel ID. We want to get basic channel details like the title and the thumbnail. And if I was to grab this and bump it up here so that it's above my head, you can see exactly what we see here. If I fold all of these different keys up, because we're going to be seeing these in just a minute. If we say we want the unique channel ID, then this field comes back, which you pretty much almost always want because you want to know something about the thing that you're getting information for, right? Snippet, basic channel details like titles and thumbnails. And if we look here, yes, I have a custom URL for my channel. It's ODAT Nerd. I have a variety of video thumbnails that are associated with the channel. Those are actually pictures of my profile picture, if I remember correctly. A localized version of the title of my channel and the descriptive text that you can see. And so we get that sort of information. We ask for brand settings, and that's this one. So this comes out, the list of keywords for the channel, what things should be displayed, all these sorts of things. The video ID of videos that get shown to people that come to the channel that aren't subscribed. And if you're not, you should totally subscribe because we do a new video every week, and it's pretty fun over there. All this other information, and we could go on and on. Content details, for example, is more information that we might be interested in, like we want to know the list of the playlist ID for uploads, for example, and branding settings, content details, statistics is another thing that we're interested in here because that tells us the number of views and subscribers that we have. We can see how much this out of date this is because the subscriber count is actually up over 1,200 now. Astounding, and there's more videos than that. Anyway, this is the idea. We provide this part and then it gives us an answer back. Okay, keep that in mind. We come back to this thing and this says, okay, this is how you do this. All parameters listed are query parameters, right? Because this is the thing. So we're going to say the part is the parameter serves two purposes in this kind of operation. It identifies properties that you're going to set as well as things that the API response is going to include. Okay, so the general idea is if we were to send this off and set just the snippet.title, for example, then we'd be setting the title of the video to be something different than what it is. And the response that comes back to us would be an error if it didn't work, or a response as if we asked it for the information on that video, but now it's nicely updated, which is going to help us keep our cache in order as well, right? Now, here's where this starts to really give me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. It says that This method will override the existing values for all of the mutable properties that are contained in any parts of the parameter that the parameter value specifies. For example, a video's privacy setting is contained in the status part. And I think I might even have one of those over here. We'll throw the video details up here and put the channel details down. So in video details, inside of the status, it's uploaded. This video is public. This is when it was published. It's got a YouTube license. You can embed it. You can see the stats. It's not made for kids, and I didn't declare that it was made for kids. So I say it's not. YouTube's machining algorithm, learning algorithm agrees with me, right? So if the this says if video's privacy setting is contained in the status part. As such, if your request is updating a private video and the request's part parameter includes the status, the video's privacy setting will be updated to whatever the value in the request body specifies. That's exactly what you would expect, right? You would expect if you sent this up and said privacy status public, that it would change it to public. If the request body does not specify a value, the existing privacy setting will be removed and the video will revert to the default privacy setting. Okay, so that is basically telling us that any information that we want to set, we need to set either only that information or we need to provide absolutely everything. Otherwise, things will go pear-shaped. If we decided we wanted to, and if we again look at this, the upload status for this the privacy status for this is public. If we wanted to make this unlisted, then I think if we didn't specify the license, it would go away and this stuff would go away. This really makes a difference up here in snippet where what if you just wanted to change the title, but all you provided was snippet.title? Well, you didn't provide a snippet.description, so I guess that means the description of your video gets wanged away on you. And what does that do to thumbnails? Do I have to provide the same information back for thumbnails? These are the sorts of things we're going to be playing with tonight. On the whole, if we were to look at what we do when we actually get video details, I mean, I could be navigating this a little bit better, but I'm chitty chatting here. Fetch video details is the helper that actually does this, and it makes a series of video list requests for a very specific part which you provide to this thing, because there's a couple of different ways that this can go. And if we look in the latter one, if you ask for video details for a video, then it executes this thing with a part of this. And I'm just going to do that for a second. We'll have snippet, content details, status, and statistics. Those are the parts we want. So if we're going to want to ask for those, we're going to have to make sure to send them up as well. So I guess that means if we fetch it first and then modify things, things will be okay. In addition, not all parts contain properties that can be set. For example, statistics encapsulates statistics that YouTube calculates for a video, and it doesn't contain values you can set or modify. So I can't artificially inflate the view count of this thing by just invoking this, which is, a good idea on the whole, and I'm surprised they even have to go out of their way to tell you that. If a parameter value specifies a part that does not contain mutable values, that part will still be included in the response. That's nice. If I just send everything up, then anything that should be changed will be. And this is where I start to be a little weirded out. Here's the list of the part that you can, the part names that you can include in the parameter values. And there's like a few of these things here. And here we go. You must specify a value for these properties. ID, yeah, you want to specify the ID of the video that you're going to fill the data for, right? And then title is only required. If you provide the snippet, you have to provide a title, which makes sense, I guess, because if you didn't provide a title, it would redact the title away based on what we just saw. And we don't want a video to not have a title, so you have to specify a title. And you have to specify a category ID, but only if you record the snippet. That one makes slightly less sense. Category ideas, I think something like the thing that we have, which is like help and to do, or self-help, or anyway, I said it like a long time ago. It's the thing you set for videos that teach you how to do a thing but aren't like entertainment and things like that. You can set values for these properties, and there's a bunch of them. If you're submitting an update request and your request does not specify a value for a property that already has a value, the property's existing value will be deleted, which is what the thing said before. We get some error messages out of this. Now, there was something else here, and I can't remember where exactly it was that I saw the thing. Maybe I already read it and I don't remember, but there was something about publish at time in here too. We can look and see. Well, maybe that was in the API Explorer thingy here because I had this open. I wanted to look and see for what scopes does this actually use. It really only uses YouTube.force SSL for this one. So possibly we could get away with only the one, pardon me, the one scope and not two. So that's something to play around with here. Because if we did this, we could actually ask for stuff. As a matter of fact, maybe we should totally try that very thing here. If we wanted to get a video list, let's pop this out. Let's see what we get for this thing. We need a video ID. So it's not really a good way to do that, is there, except for doing something like this. Let's say introduction to override audit is this. So this is the video ID that we want, and we'll clobber that one away. So let's say, yeah, the part we want is the snippet for this particular thing. We are still listing stuff here, right? The ID of the thing we want is this one. Now, if we test this out, the scope we're going to use here is YouTube read only, which is the scope that we were using previously. If I zoom this up here, way up. Could have just used Control Home, but I got this sunk cost fallacy going now. Hello, Ashwin. Good stream day. Maybe we're gonna do something and it's either gonna work well or something really disastrous is gonna happen. But either way, something cool is gonna happen. As a matter of fact, I was playing with setting this up earlier, but I didn't get all the way there. But in case there's a terrible bug, we could do something like this. Doesn't really line up very well, and there's no sound effect for it yet. But you know. At least I don't think there is. I wasn't hearing one. Perhaps there was, and I just blew your ears out, in which case I apologize. I've been using a headset for various things all day. Didn't really get a chance to play with that. So read only was the scope we had previously, and that's the one that this is currently set to right now. And I think if we were to go ahead and execute this bad boy, we can hopefully see some information on that come down. And we have to choose the correct thing. And this is the thing I was talking about earlier. This is associated with the scope that we asked for, the YouTube.read-only, which is view your YouTube account. All it can do is look at it. It can't actually change it. And if we allow it, the answer that comes back is the information on that particular video, which I really wish you could like scroll this a different way than there is. But it's the introduction to override audit. It's what we would expect. Now I'm going to swap this from read only to force SSL and execute it again. Now it's going to have to ask us one more time to authenticate because the scope changed. We're going to want that one, and we're going to want this one. And now it wants to see, edit, and permanently delete your YouTube videos, ratings, comments, and captions. And we can get information on that. This wants permission to anything you can do on your YouTube account. And I'm going to go ahead and say allow. And if this works, the same as it did there, then in theory, we don't need to do the thing that I did here. In which case, I'm going to try this. Just going to see what happens here. Because I don't know if you caught the earlier part of this, Ashwin, but I did something in two places. I modified this and I modified something else. And I'm not entirely sure that that was strictly necessary. So let's go ahead and log out of this to clobber away all of our credentials. Now, the deal behind this thing here is I'm asking for force SSL, which I'm assuming is the same as the auth YouTube, which also lets you modify things. Whoops, I believe that was probably, this one here is probably the same as that, but this one requires a secure connection, I'm guessing, based on that weird thing on the end there. And then there is read only, which is the one that we were using. But I mentioned earlier that there's this whole thing in the API for the application in the Google console that has scopes associated with this. I had this one and I added this one in because I wasn't sure if I could add them to the code and not add them here, if there would be an issue with that. So maybe there might be, but it's just going to lag. But we're going to try logging in with just the one and see what we get here. So let's log into this thing. And we see this looks more or less the same as the thing that we just saw until we get to the part where we choose this. And then it hasn't verified this. And as I said, it's not going to because we want to do something that's restricted. And Google says that Their verification of this could cost anywhere from $15 to $50,000 or something. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was more than $50, and it's going to take more than a month. And I'm not giving my whole life savings away so that somebody other than me can run this application without going through this YouTube jiggy here. Um, so this thing's never going to be verified if that's their priority for this thing. YouTuberizer can see, edit, and permanently delete your video rating, settings, comments, and captions. Okay, so that's nice. So if I was to click allow on this bad boy, then that says it's complete, and we should be okay here too as well. So I should be able to say get link here, and it has to re-download the stuff again, which is only going to take it a brief amount of time here. And let's go into this and yeah, and it's going to give me something. So I guess in theory that I didn't actually have to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of this action here. We can see what I did there. I changed that scope, but I don't think we need to change that scope. So I'm going to go ahead and, sorry, what's the thing that I normally do? I want to reset this one. There we go. I like to use the mouse for this sort of thing and not the keyboard because it makes me slow down, and I want to make for absolutely sure. The only change that there is here right now unstaged is that thing that I commented out in the thing that I did, and this is where I want it to be. So I'm going to hard reset onto this and blop that whole commit right on out of there. I don't think we actually need that thing. We'll just change this to YouTube.force SSL. Probably should have modified the message there, huh? Read, write access. Allowing the app to do anything the user could do on. Go ahead and do a little bit of that bad boy. I'm going to reload this thingy. And let's close that. Verify what we got here. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a comment there. Actually, I guess I could have instead of forcing that, I could have just changed the comment, but that's neither here nor there. We can just sort of leave that as it is, I guess. So I'm going to, I reloaded that. I think we might also need to, or I would like to, edit a variety of things. That's something we're going to look at in a second. I'm going to click this. Okay, and I think that should be all that we have to do here. And we'll go save and continue on this thing. And we're good. Okay. And there's a small list of people that can actually use this thing. Does it say anything here? It doesn't. Okay. Save and continue. And we are back to being good to go. The app logo that you never get to see because this thing's not verified. Bummer. Probably shouldn't have clicked that. Okay. So we got this here. Let's close that bad boy up. Now the other thing the thing that made me question that thing is we see here that the upload defaults for new videos that go up and say that the visibility is supposed to be unlisted. Okay, that's something we're going to want to remember because there was something that I read somewhere in here that mentioned that if you change the privacy status, you have to also set the publish date, or if you set the publish date and you don't specify the privacy thing. Let's see what we got in here. It's not in here. I can't remember where it was that I saw it, but the gist of it made it sound like if we're not careful, private videos or unlisted videos or public videos might end up being the channel default, which is unlisted, instead of maintaining what they actually are, which isn't necessarily something that we're interested in having happen. So we're gonna go ahead and say, for this, actually, let's use our own tools for this bad boy. We can actually do this now. For the missing table of contents, let's get a whole fresh one to make sure that everything is as fresh as it could be. The thing that we would modify here is, I don't know, Either of these is cool. We don't actually need this one anymore, so we could edit this one in YouTube Studio. We can actually see the information that it's got for this thing. 2019 end card template is the title. For setting up that, it's listed as a private video with an end screen. I don't think there's any way to modify that particular operation. Not made for kids. No tags. Oh, yeah. Is that the add tag? Let's say we'll call it sample tag here, just to make sure that this will actually do what we want. And let's go ahead and save that change. And this is the video that we're gonna fiddle around with. And of course, we now have a cached version of this data that's different than the other one. Let's just get a fresh one so that everything is as fresh as it could be. Yeah, tell me about it, right? We're also going to have an issue here because I don't have any direct way to flush the cache except for saying flush the cache so that it can re-download it again. But that should be okay, I would think. So I'm going to go ahead and let's verify how well that actually works, because we did modify this slightly. Title here, and this is the body of this thing. It doesn't have a thumbnail, but we don't care about that. And it has that tag in it that we added, sample tag, right? I'm going to save those changes. In theory, this is just a theory, mind you, the video ID stays the same. You can't change that except for uploading a new one. And this, the way it's implemented, if I click edit, needs to refetch information on this video, even though it's technically cached inside of this view for reasons that I may have mentioned in yesterday's thing. But it did in fact do that. So there's a tag, there's the body, and there's that thing. So we now have an edit for this. What's going to be pushed up first to YouTube? What we learned here from looking at this thing, I'm not sure whereabouts that you came in, but the magic of this update item here is that it's basically a request that you make that's the same as when you ask for it, only you actually have to provide information when you send it up. The response that comes back is the same as if you asked for data, except you actually get a fresh copy of the stuff that came back. And it specifically says if you send something up, okay, there we go. Maybe that was the bit that I saw there. It says here that this will only modify mutable things. So if you set the privacy setting in the status part of the message, then it'll update. If you don't specify something that already has a value, it gets erased away. So what you send up has to be what you want everything to look like if you provide the part. Like, for example, if you don't try to modify the title of the video or send that whole snippet part up, that's why I was looking at this thing here. This is all of the parts of the video that we can ask for. We can ask for the ID, we can ask for the snippet, which gives things like the title and the description and the tags for this thing. Not all of this stuff is mutable. Content details, is the duration of the thing and whether it's 2D or HD or not. You can't modify the duration of a video by sending this up. You can modify the privacy status to be public or private or something. It specifically mentioned that if you specify publish ad and don't specify privacy status, it goes to the default, although I can't find where that happened now. And you can send up statistics, but it's not going to modify anything. So I can't make this look like it has 28,000 views by sending up statistics. So the important thing, as far as I can tell, the takeaway from this is what we want is to have a request that comes back when we do an update that looks exactly the same as the request that we get information from, so that we can say update this, and whatever the response comes back as, we can update the cache and return that data so that we update it and have a current record of everything. And that means we need to ask for everything first and send it up and hope for the best, I guess. Otherwise, stuff will go all pear-shaped. But we're going to play with that a little bit here. I'm going to close this thing. Now, we're actually going to need a request for this thing. And I guess I really probably should not have clobbered away that commit now that I'm thinking about it. Should we pull that out of the ref log and then just amend it? Yeah. Let's say update scope. We're not just read only. We're about to get dangerous. And we will stage that, basically just swapping that and that thing there. Commit that. We only need the one, as we just saw here. That's not how I thought that was going to work. And a lot of my recollections of this are vaguely hazy because it's been a year since I looked at and shook my fist in rage at OAuth and all of these mechanisms. For example, there's a thing in there now that says whether or not your application should be in testing or in production, and it was set to production. And I don't know why it would be, because this ain't no production. Never in a million years would I have set that if I had the option, particularly since in order to have it set as production, I had to submit it for verification to Google, and that's not something I want to do. It's not something I would have done last year either. That part's never going to happen. They don't want open source applications doing stuff like this. So then the next thing is we actually need a request for this, and we're going to do that here in the network thread. And if that is video details, then maybe we want set video details is the thing we have to add for that. Let's copy this and jump to, yeah, okay. We don't need a special cache entry for this because we're just going to bump stuff up. So for our purposes here, let's just copy this. And really, we're going to do that, are we? I want the whole thing, thank you. There we go. And the thing that I copied previously was set video details, this one right here. Okay, so we'll copy that, blump that in. We're going to say for this one, we're only going to go one for, because we could actually look here, but I would imagine that you specify an ID. The other one lets you specify multiple IDs, but I'm willing to bet that this one probably doesn't. Oh, I see. I see what's going on there. Try it over here is what we want. So the UI is modify the video window details and the save pushes it up. Yes, that's the general idea. Or something in here, but yeah, what I do now, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but I want all of these things to have a sameness to them, if you will. Like all of the Plugin 101 videos have the same header on the front, and they all have more or less the same body in them. So like when I am uploading, say, this last Monday's video, what I actually do is get video link and say that the thing that I'm updating is a Plugin 101, and let's say it was like 19, and pull that thing up. Actually, I guess I'd probably pick details for that one. It remembers it different on this computer than in that one. But the exact same thing. 101.19 is the video that I actually did something with. So I get this window, and then I come up here and specifically modify this part and change the title, change this bits, maybe change the link. This part, I just select all of this stuff and say this and browse over to the appropriate file for the video. Automatically plunks that in. All of this other stuff is exactly identical. So I mean, this is stuff that could totally be like a template or a snippet that goes in, and that's one of the other ideas I had. I also modified these, and then I hand copy and paste them into the window where the video is actually uploading. But what I want to do is do it in a way where I say I'm uploading this video, and once it's uploaded, I just come here and modify this stuff and hit save for the purposes of uploading a new video. And then also the other thing that we're doing is I have a lot of, this is one we don't actually need, so let's get rid of that one. But that's the reason why I have this particular thing because these are all videos on the channel that don't have that table of contents thing in them that allows you to navigate to a specific part of the video, which is really handy for linking to specific parts when you're talking about it. So for all of these, what we want to have is something where we hover on the thing and say edit, and the window opens up, and then we also say we want to copy the link or view it on YouTube or whatever. That's currently not working for reasons I don't fully understand. Something funky happening there. Probably should fix that too. But then the idea is we'd view it, watch it, and modify this here. And there's other things that need to be fixed, like I got to go through tags. I want to change the stubs here. So I want to do as much of that as possible from this, which is why this whole project exists. Let's just double check what stupid thing that I did here. View video link is enabled, must return a bool. Video ID is not none, or why is that not a Boolean? Does it need to say is not none? Pretty sure that I tested that and it seemed to work just dandy, but I guess not. That's irritating to say the least. Anyway, that's the general gist of what it is we're trying to pull off here. Let's just go ahead and fix broken command. What the hell, man? And we'll just go ahead and move that commit down because that should not have happened first. This one should, we should have fixed that before we went on to do this one. Makes things more logical. Yeah, you reload that. You reload that real good. In fact, we'll quit this and restart just to make absolutely for sure that everything's kosher. Still seems good. Cool. So I think we want to work on the actual code for doing this first, right? Which would be this window. It's in the wrong order now. That's irritating. Close that. We don't need that one for right now. Right now, did I not add a request to this thing? Did I just commit that or redact it or something? Because I could have swore that I totally modified this code. Did I not save it? I must have not saved it. Save now. The nice thing about live streaming this stuff is that you can go back and see what idiot thing that you did wrong. Set video details. So let's do that whole thing again. We want this. And we want it to be set video details. Now, the thing that we were actually doing, I think I probably didn't save that because we bopped over here to look at this other thing and got all distractificated. But the other API for looking stuff up allows you to specify more than one video, but I'd imagine that that's not something that's going to happen here. So let's see. Standard parameters. I mean, I'm kind of surprised. It really seems like if one of the things that you have to provide is the ID of the video that you're going to fiddle with, that it would provide one of those in here. Am I just not seeing something here? I just call it experimentation rather than calling it an idiot thing. Yeah, there are different ways to do that. We like to play around with stuff and see what's going on. I feel extra bad about doing obviously wrong things that seem very obviously wrong in retrospect, particularly when it's not the first time that I've done it. Okay. Required parameters are, oh, I see. The part is the thing. Okay, so we don't, there must be more body that it needs to be associated with this in order to try it. I guess that's why this has got this here. Okay. Makes sense. So if that was the case, it needs to be exactly one video because it's not an array of things, it's one set of parts. Given video details, dispatch a request to the YouTube data API to update the data for the given video to those details. Okay. You must specify a part that says what data you're modifying, as well as a dictionary that contains the data to be updated in the same format that YouTube provides it to you. If you were to ask for the same part. Note, any video information that you don't provide here will be deleted from the video on YouTube if it exists. So ensure that what you provide this is what you want the data to be. Okay. Not all properties are mutable. It's safe to provide immutable data items, and they'll be ignored for the update. The result of this request is a new video details result that contains the new video data. We're going to have various potential issues. No, I guess not. This does not handle one or more video lookups. So this is going to absolutely require a part, and intriguing. Video details, I guess. Video details becomes the body of the thing, I suppose. That's definitely not going to be a list. No, it's not. It's going to be a video ID. As a matter of fact, we don't even care about the video ID. That's stupid. Okay. Updating video details for. You darn well better include the ID in this thing or it's going to go all pear-shaped. Video details of ID. We don't need to be asked to refresh. We most definitely are going to do this. Now you know what? Oh, that looks like a bug. Where did I copy that from? This folded one. That should almost certainly be that. Eep. I mean, how did I miss that? I know I tested the thing. There was a lot of weird stuff that happened in that whole caching segment of this operation. Okay, so we weren't asked to refresh per se. We're actually going to have to do what this thing is doing. So let's go ahead and just jump up there real quick. We're going to probably want something a little like yaw, right? Go back to where we were. We probably need to look at the actual thing here. So part is part. Oh man, I wonder what the body of this thing is supposed to look like. Don't do any of that. Comment out that. Return none. Yeah. Basically, we got everything in here except all the stuff that does anything. So I think what we probably need to do is, just as a test, if this was ID, is there a, there's not a thing here that specifies this, is there? Oh, there it is. The request body might say something like the ID is something. What did I put in there? Anything? Oh, the part was ID and okay. One other thing we might add to this, just to test. Actually, okay, we don't want to do it to that one because that would totally clobber some stuff that we're not interested in clobbering. Yeah, I know you're all unhappy about a thing that happened previously, but I think that should all be okay now, I would imagine. Yeah. We'll worry about that in a second. I can't remember what the stupid setting associated with this thing is. Do I actually store them anywhere? I'm not sure that I do. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do this. Video details is the thing we're actually interested in here. So if we came up to this, Windows settings get that is this bit of bloppity blop here, and then we unword wrap that, snag that whole bad boy out of there. Maybe do some sort of JSON formatter. Oh, we go quietly blind. That's not going to be happy because that's not actually a dictionary, right? Yeah. But that's enough for us to do something like this. So we can, there's probably a cooler way to do something like this, but you know, find true. And replace it with true. Really? All right. That's good enough then, I guess. That would also work. False. Does that make it a little bit happier over here? Yes. Okay. So if that's the case, then the data we paste into the tab we're actually looking at is something here. What do we think this is going to do? In Python, body equals, and it has to have a part in it, one would assume. Oh, there it is. We need a part and body equals in the dictionary. All right, well, that's easy to do then, isn't it? That's very easy to do. Let's put you over there. We may need you in a minute. Part is part and body equals details. I didn't actually grab the part out of anywhere, did I? I did not. Was I doing that a different way prior? I probably was, wasn't I? Whoops. I probably was. How's your week going, Ashwin? Today was my first day back at work. I kind of forgot what it's like to spend a whole day in a meeting and accomplish nothing. uh, that was not the thing that I was actually looking for, was it? No, no, it was not. We want this thing. It was actually an argument. Oh, ow. And it's hard coded. Okay. Fine. We want something like this though. Get that out of there. And that one's going to be part. That one's going to be new details. This is not VI. We ask for the part. We ask for video details, like so. And then part is part. This is video details is what's going to fall out of that. And then we want to do, whoa. We dot execute it and grab the response like yeah. Right? Yeah. We're really flying by the seat of our pants on this one. We actually executed it, so we just need to do this. How was I doing this before? Because there could be more than one thing, right? If there's an error, it falls out of this entirely, so that's not one we technically care about. Yeah, I think we probably did the same thing. There's only going to be one, so, but there could be more than one way to do this thing in response items. New details is equal to a dotty of video. How did I update that? Okay. Those are going to be new details. And these are going to be video. So we don't need to do that. We need to return explicit none return. So theorizing how this might actually work, you call set video details, you provide it the part that says the information you want and the video details that you have received, pardon me, they're sure that you want to put up that you have received previously. This verifies that they exist inside of the request and throws an error if they don't. Then we get the part out and the new details out. Say we're updating the video details for the video with that ID. We use this response to, oh, that part has to change. Pardon me. That part, that's going to go poorly. It's videos update, not videos list. If we actually wanted to update things and not list. Update. And this is that thing where when the service starts and it uses the URL that it's configured with to know what to talk to and what API it's trying to talk to, which is the YouTube version 3 data API, it builds itself a dynamic object based on, I presume, downloading some sort of control file from YouTube servers to be able to tell it what it is that it's trying to do. And so that's where that method name comes from. And we're going to give it the part, which is the information that we're trying to stick in there, and the actual body executed. If it throws an error, there's some sort of web error, it jumps directly out of here to the thing that handles the request and reports the error. Otherwise, it looks through all of the things. But we know there's only going to ever be one. I mean, there better be only one. We're only updating one thing. So we get the new details out of that thing, dotty it, store it in the cache, which is going to clobber existing cached data for this with our new data, and then return the new data back. I think that's probably what we're interested in. Now, when did this happen? This will happen if code can't be reloaded. I think that's part of another issue that we saw. So let's clear the console and hope for the best on that one. So in theory, this might do something. Switching back and forth between coffee and tea because this is pretty hardcore, man. Let's start by, I mean, nothing to it but to do it. This thing isn't the be all and end all of videos if something gets destroyed, right? I mean, if something does happen, I'm going to have to upload a video of my dog to play with or something. Let's go ahead and say this is the information. Actually, this is the information that we expect there to be in this operation. So what we actually need here is, if we were to ask for video details, this is the information that we expect there to be when we specifically ask for video details, which we do in order to create this window: snippet, content details, status, and statistics. Then we can work out exactly which parts of that we do. Are you just logging the error if the push is unsuccessful? For now, yes. I mean, something else is going to have to happen, but we've got to see what happens there first. Specifically, if something goes wrong, it gets logged in here with an error, and it would have the error code associated with it, which is -1 if it's a code error on our part, like we raise an error. For example, the very first thing we do when we test this could be to not provide a part. This validate option should trigger an error in that case, and it would show up in the log. I'm not sure what else you might want to do for something like that. Before I forget, this is the snippet information that we got. So we theoretically have, whoops, stop it. I need to swap that setting back. Oh, actually, no, there's enough room now that it's all the way out here. So what's actually different is we have a new set video settings. We fixed that bug, so that was an unfortunate thing. We have a new set video details, and that's it, which takes a part and a video details, makes sure they're there, pulls them both out, sends a YouTube video update for that part with these details. Then the response to that is supposed to be the same information as you would get if you asked for this part. So it should come back in the same format as it did previously. We'll have to verify that too. We grab those details out, dotty it the same way we would have if it was something else, update the cache with that ID because it either wasn't there or it was, and it's just been updated to be something else. This makes sure that the cache gets updated only when the request actually succeeds, because if this part fails, then it doesn't get to this part. Would be nice to have a red color for unsuccessful and green for successful. Yeah, one of the things that's on my list of stuff to do is a syntax for that log panel so that that is more clear when stuff happens, but I'm sort of pushing it off because I'm not that great at syntaxes, and also what exactly we get put in there and in what format isn't quite nailed down yet. Okay, so That part seems okay. So the next thing that we need to worry about is not the video pop-up or the events or this thing. We want the details. The devil is in the details. So here's the way that this operation works. We probably want another thing, and we should probably say this here now. Um, a command that would be in the context menu here inside of one of these things. Oh, look, that's totally busted. There's supposed to be a custom syntax here, and there's not. It's plain text. That's interesting. Oh, I created a new tab. Never mind. Uh, this menu should maybe have a refresh that actually re-requests the data, forces it to re-request it, and then if it's different than what's displayed here, asks you if it should do stuff, just in case you have one of these windows laying around, so that you don't update with bogus data. But for our purposes here, when this command gets executed, there's two ways that it can happen. One is you say get details like this. I guess I taught it the word details for this. And it asks you to find stuff. And then it does something. So in that case, when you run this, it gets authorized. It determines if you used tags or playlists in the command palette, and then it requests the channel list. And when the channel list comes down, all the stuff that is in this helper class work. So it gets from the channel information, it gets playlists, and then it will ask you for a playlist, or just assume that you picked uploads if you didn't say run by use playlists. And then for all the videos in that playlist, if you specified use tags, it shows you tags. Otherwise, it shows you videos. If you selected a tag, it shows you videos. And then when you pick a video, that's the point where it would invoke picked video, which asks for video details to get all of the details for this thing. And then it calls new window, gives it a video ID, a title, a description, a tag, and details inside of that window. And the details that it provides is an undotted version of the actual video details it just got as a result of requesting this data. We can see their video is result zero here, which is funny. Maybe I need to return this as an array. That might be something to fix on the other part to make sure that this works the same crossways. If, on the other hand, you do what the hover pop-up does, it just invokes it with a video ID, in which case it jumps directly to get video details, so it skips over and subverts all of that other functionality. Either way, it calls video details to fetch all of the stuff down, which kind of bothers me because the hover pop-up is powered by something in this list. There's actually a setting in this that is the list of every video ID that's in here, and there's a dictionary that says for every video ID what the requested video information is, which is why it can display stuff like the view count, the likes, dislikes, the first sentence of the description, the tags, and has the video ID. So it has to fetch it again, which isn't super great, but works great for something like this. So that particular, the new window setting is what actually adds that. Let's open that one too, new window. We can see when this gets executed, if it was provided details, it adds them into that video details setting thing there. So what we need is a command that will execute in one of these windows, but only when it has a video ID associated with it that would send stuff up. And ultimately, we would want to have that bound to the save keys so that you would just make a modification and hit save. But for now, for testing purposes, we're just going to have something in the command palette, or not in the command palette, in the context menu instead. How's the audio video going tonight? Anyways, the volume okay? Does it seem like it's synced up with my mouth? I may or may not have solved the weird latency problem. I'm not entirely sure what was going on. One of the things I'm thinking of doing is actually setting myself up so that my Linux computer streams just its screen with this copy of OBS across the network to one of my laptops, and then that laptop would actually integrate that and the webcam and the audio and all of the other controls, so I could use a newer version of OBS or a different version of it that has more integrations with things, and still have my Linux screen be the thing. But I need to free up some network ports before I can do that, and I need to free up some time to be able to play with it too. Commands that are in the context palette here are copy video link. So that would be context menu. Really? Oh, right. It's not called that. It's called something different. I forgot. It is a context menu. That's not the actual thing we're doing. Edit in YouTube Studio. We actually want the thing for copy video link. Okay, so that's copy video link is this one. This is the command that we actually want to do something with. I guess we probably also need to track whether or not there are any changes to update too, right? Well, one fight at a time. Not what that's called, huh? Change count. Change count. Okay. Just because it's going to bother me. I cannot type to save my life. The count of changes in this is 0. Now there's 1. Now there's 32. All right, good. In theory, we could track the change count of this every time we do a save and when we do a load, and then we would know for any of these fields when the last one was. So that is entirely doable as a thing. Good, good. This is copy video link, and that should only happen in a window that actually has a video ID, right? Yes. So save as this to do I want to edit video details is the one that creates the window for it. I don't think I want to overload that command to be something else. That doesn't seem like it would necessarily be a great idea. It seems like it would be a better idea to have a commit type operation. Whoops, that's not what I expected that to do. Commit video details is maybe what we'll call this bad boy. And instead of copy video link, we'll call it commit details. Really got a lot of stuff going on here. Not all of this stuff is technically required, I guess. I'm guessing we're going to need at least part of this one. We probably want that at a minimum. Actually, no, I guess we don't, because we're getting it from the setting. Bully. That's going to make that nice. Okay. This is commit details. Okay, this command is only active in a window that is a YouTube editor window that also has an associated video ID and video details. It will attempt to shuttle changes made in this view up to YouTube. We don't care where it happens, so all of those can go away. We can do that. This is not going to take any arguments here, I'm imagining. It kind of could, I guess. If it took a video details object, it could send it up, but then we would need another wrapper for it. So let's not worry about that right now. I'm just thinking of the notion that right-clicking this and hitting a commit, or it happening when you're pushing save, would be a command that grabs the data and sends it up, but maybe some other unrelated plugin might want to make a change on someone's behalf, and if it already had the object, it wouldn't need to create it inside of a window first. But we can come to that when we get there. We can just say this is commit changes to YouTube. Doesn't even matter what any of that stuff is. We don't want an event for this. We don't want an event at all. Whoops, I said we don't want an event for this. What we do want to know is this. We want this to only be enabled if there is, this is a YouTube window and there's a video ID and this. Oh, actually, I guess this. But then we cut that part out and put this here. We only want this to be active in a window that's a YouTube window that has an associated video ID and video details inside of it. Do we actually care if there's a video ID in there? Probably not, but let's say that it's good enough for our purposes. And then this could also be clever enough to check change counts in the buffer as well. So we're not calling that, and we're not calling that, and we're not calling that. I know what we are going to need though. Maybe. I'm just sort of thinking of what happens behind the scenes. Anyway, let's just get this part going first, and then we can worry about the other part later, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say that for this, we're going to find that stupid video mistake that stupid cache mistake that I made, and then say stage those lines and fix cache error like so. Commit that bad boy. And then the only other changes in networking are us adding the set video details. So we stage that and say add set video details command. And then the last thing will be this one, and then we can rebase to move things down and actually start implementing this in some fashion. Whoops, I meant to do that. So for here, it needs to be in commands. So this would also have to be something that's reloaded. Commit video details is something that needs to be reloaded. I'll put this here from .commit video details import this command. That should be after edit in studio with a comma after it. And this one also edit in studio needs to have it here as well. Seems like that's probably in place. I guess add it to the menu if you want it to actually exist in the menu. Does that seem like a good idea? Whoops. What did I call that again? Commit details? Yes. And this doesn't even need a caption, yo. That one, I mean, I guess it could have a caption. Maybe it doesn't make sense to give that one that because it's not going to modify itself. Now that I'm thinking about it in a more logical kind of way, you can modify it to be whatever you like, realistically. It just needs to do something, right? And it may or may not need to be in all. So we would need to actually make it be something like a window command instead, but baby steps. This is the only thing that has it, and it commits. It doesn't appear in that menu because I never added it to that menu, right? If we made a new window, it doesn't allow us to commit that. So on the face of it, it kind of does know that it's doing the right thing. Let's make a modification to this because we want this to not just be inside of a particular buffer. This is all stuff to do with a window, right? So if this was a window command, then this doesn't get an edit, which is fine because it's not going to edit anything anyway. And this would just be self.window.settings. So this would go like this. And otherwise, everything else would be identical in every way. But this would allow us to have the same command work in any of the three views because it's going to need to pull the information out of each one of those in order to populate stuff. So if that reloaded, which it looked like it did, then that should still be there. Okay. Now let's just say we can go ahead and redact this out later. But if we're going to do it there, we should do it in tags and title too. And in the body, I put it as the second thing in editing. Maybe we put it in as the first thing in editing. That seems like a good thing to do. And here it's the first thing in, oh shoot, there isn't an editing section yet. I guess it would go here. Like so. So it should be active here. Commit changes, and commit changes in that one. Good, good. Next, let's work on get details. So here we would need to say details is equal to self.window.settings.get YTE video details, like so, to get the core details. Then we need to snag out the new title, if there is one, the new description, if there is one, and the new tags, if there is one, to be able to do something with this. What's the best way to pull this off? Various things we could do. We know that the layout of this is such that this is group 1, this is group 2, this is group 3, and the first view in all of those is the one we want. So we could do that. An issue with that is you can do this. So we might need to block that from happening to make sure that something can't happen there. But then I guess we might also need to block new file here in general. So I'm not sure that that's necessarily the way to go for this. Logically, we could also use the first view in each group that has the correct syntax. There could be a setting in there I mean, we have to have something to go with initially, right? Make it work, then make it pretty. So let's say that title equals, oh, actually, self group, let's say. View is equal to self.window.views in group, first one, return view.subster, sublime.region 0 len view. Just to make this a little bit easier. Extract group 0. Is it body or is it description? It's description. Self.extract scope. Whoops, that's not right. Just extract, thanks. One and tags is equal to self._extract 2. Okay. Let's see what we end up with, shall we? That looks like a title. That looks like the description, and that looks like the end tag. So far so good. Now the tags actually needs to be space after, space before and after, and an empty one. Because what we're actually going to do here is something like tag split on something like yaw to start with, which is all of the things. We don't want that to have, is there a way to have it not give you empty entries? That's not what that's called, huh? Simple lexical analysis. Oh, it's stir.split. Pardonnez-moi. Turn the list of the words. If max split at most. Consecutive delimiters are not grouped together and are deemed to delimit empty strings. Okay. Runs a consecutive white space are regarded as a single separator. Okay, that's not what we want. I guess not. Okay. Extract 2.split on that, and then we can say, that probably wasn't a good sound to make. Strip T for T in tags if T is not equal to the empty tag. It's probably the simplest way to do something like that. Or alternatively, that's not how that works, because it's probably trim and not strip, right? Great shades of stuff that was discussed earlier today in the forum, honestly. Boop. No. What the hell is the thing called, man? It was strip, was it? But I just did it in the wrong spot. That figures. Okay. That is just. How about now? Really bodes well for a thing when even the simplest of things is the issue. All right. That looks like it's working. Next. We get the video details. So we might say something like the details, the thing that we have is the title, which is going to be your snippet, and inside of the snippet is the title. I think. There it is. That's inside the thing. Is equal to self.extract 0.strip to strip leading and trailing white space off of this bad boy, because you don't want that in your video. Details for this is probably more complicated than I think, isn't it? That one doesn't need to be there. Oh, actually, I don't even need to do that. We can actually say sublime.encode value to do the thing that we want. Encode a JSON compatible value into a string representation. Yeah, I'm assuming that's the thing that we're passing into this, right? Because otherwise new lines aren't allowed inside of strings. So the details of the snippet description, I'm guessing. We're not going to noodle with localized. Let's hope that we don't need to noodle with localized. Is it not in snippet? Must be. Really? Really? How did I do this now? Why do I have too many? I got way too much stuff going on here. Let's say we have that open twice. Snippet.description. Why is that not in that? That's kind of, oh, it is. It's right there. Stop being a modo, bro. I was looking in the wrong thing, wasn't I? Yeah, it's right there. Description is equal to sublime.encode value self.extract 1. Don't need to specify that more than once. Do we want to just automatically encode this on the way out to make life easier? We'll worry about that later when we know what we're actually going to do with this thing. The title, description, the tags are in here too. It's going to be equal to this, apparently. I think that I'm going to try it this way and we'll see what happens anyhow. The rstrip one, I literally just Googled how to remove trailing newline Python and frame the plugin. No way to remember a bazillion different language helpers. Yeah, tell me about it, right? I was supposed to be doing some TypeScript stuff today and I wasn't, but between JavaScript and this, I can never remember if it's strip or trim and what the name of the class is, whether you need to pass it the argument that is the string or use it as a method and it returns a new version of the thing. Um, print JSON, sorry, code value details true. That's what that does, right? I think that's what that does. Do I have enough files open here? Oh, I just closed the one that I actually wanted, but that's okay. Boom, boom, boom. Don't care, don't care. Yeah, don't care. Not a one. I'm gonna just do this. Put it back. String will be included with new data. All right, so cool. Reload that. Let's see what happens if I do this. Boop. This is what we're gonna try to send it. And we're gonna say it has the ID of the thing that it is. It's a YouTube video. The this is, oh no. Well, I mean, that's technically correct. Maybe. I guess I probably should have changed it, right? The tags are definitely different. But let's go ahead and clear that and see. Commit. Okay. It's not actually doing anything yet, of course. The title, Borky Borky. Shoot. Maybe that's not the best way to pull that off. The tags looks like it worked right, though. I mean, technically speaking, it is sort of working. Is that how the JSON library in Python works too? Actually, yeah, we could probably just test that, right? Yeah. That's putting string stuff around it, but we wanted to have it as a string. How the hell do you solve that problem? I don't think I've had enough coffee today. Whoops, pardon me. Already at the old 2-hour mark, huh? Time flies when you're afraid that you're going to destroy your YouTube channel with an inadvertent thing. Stephen, hello. Is there a way to provide an IntelliSense feature or framework in Sublime, whether through plugins or development? Yes, there is. Thanks for the kind words on the videos. You might check the LSP package does something like that. There's a lot of different packages that do it that are for very specific things, like Jedi and Anaconda do auto completion IntelliSense type stuff for Python and Python only. And there's one, I think, for PHP as well, for example. But the LSP package uses language servers, which is a technology that Microsoft created to be able to put language specific stuff into their editors. And the LSP plugin can talk to one of those. So if there's an LSP server for the language that you're using, then you could use that and it will analyze your code to know all the sorts of stuff about it, provide, linting, code intelligence, basically the same sort of stuff that you get out of Visual Studio Code. As far as I know, I don't use that particular package. I would recommend jumping into the Discord. There's a dedicated LSP channel that people can help you out with. And I have, on the docket is doing a video on that as well. But I need to actually uh, get more familiar with it myself because it's not something that I technically use. But yeah, that is totally possible. And depending on your use case, um, whoops, type, bro, type. On query completions is exactly for this. Given any particular file, tells you the locations where all the cursors are, what the text is to the left, and you can provide it the sorts of completions that will automatically pop up in the auto completion panel, which I don't think is enabled for my help files because you can't type in them. But whoops, it would allow you to throw stuff up like this. Also, if you're going to use LSP, I would recommend if you have a license for Sublime to jump into Sublime Text 4, which is what we're using here, because it has a ton of enhancements in it that make autocomplete better just in general. And a lot of the work that's gone into it in the last year has been adding new APIs and augmenting existing APIs specifically to allow LSP to work better. So yes, and Ashwin may have more experience with actually using it. I only know that it exists and what it does. I have never actually really played with it myself. Primarily because historically, to use something like that, you would need to install the LSP package and then also install some external server that knows how to talk to a server process, I should say, that knows how to understand a certain type of language and then configure it to connect the two together. But I believe some of the developers that hang out on the Discord have pointed out that there's little helper packages now that can do the bulk of all of that stuff for you so you don't have to do it. So it's probably very seamless now. Um, Sometime in the new year, videos like that will probably be coming. It should work for web frameworks too, I would guess. It really comes down for LSP to whether or not there's language server for the stuff that you're doing. And like if I'm sure there's something for JavaScript and stuff. So my guess would be yes. If it's something that Visual Studio can do, then it's probably something LSP can do too because they leverage the same technology. But yeah, that would definitely be a question for um, the LSP people. But if it was a server that knows about say JavaScript and TypeScript and HTML, and it has the intelligence to know how to look into those kinds of files and find functions and do uh, those sorts of things, find properties on things. It should probably work regardless of what framework you're using, I would guess. But that part is a little bit of a guess on my part. So yeah, and welcome to the stream. We're currently trying to decide what the best way is to encode something to be JSON without encoding it to be JSON, because it ends up being a string and a string, and that's not necessarily what you want. And this really seems like something that we've fuddled around with before. Oh, a PHP-based framework. There you go. I'm pretty sure there is something for PHP and LSP. There's a server for that because there's somebody, Jack on the Discord is a PHP developer, I think. I'm pretty sure he uses LSP. And he used to use something different instead. There was a dedicated package for it, like IntelliFence or something. But it's sort of been superseded by the new LSP functionality. Let's look this up real quick. I guess we don't necessarily need encode or dump so much as encode or something, right? Load, no, load. JSON decoder, no. Nope. I really get the sense that this is something that we fuddled around with in one of the live streams last year where we were working on that plugin where you can look at the string of CSS that's stuck inside of a color scheme and it would split it out. I feel like we did something like this there. I might have to look into that. We don't necessarily want a string encoded version of a thing. Oh, is IntelliFence actually part of LSP? I may have misremembered that. I know that there was something that he was using before. I can't remember the name, and then he switched to LSP. I mean, no. I think maybe we might actually need to. Whoops, that's not what we meant to do. Wrong key. User CSS thing. I guess we were doing something a little bit different there, huh? A lot of us developers use Sublime, and it would be much faster if we had IntelliSense for the framework, even though I've created snippets for the frameworks as well. Yeah, well, hopefully we provided a little bit of assistance here. Are you familiar with the Sublime Text Discord? If you're not already a member, we can shoot you a link. In fact, I should probably just have that handy in the general case. It is this one. If you're not already a member, you can join for free, although I think you need to verify your email address to make sure that you're not going to spam us with stuff or something. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I signed up. There's a dedicated LSP channel that you can use to ask specific LSP related questions. If you're a licensed user of Sublime, check out the announcements section. You can get yourself a copy of Sublime Text 4 and start playing with it right now, which is what we're using here. While we try to think of a way to solve our issue. Oh, actually, maybe I'm thinking about this in sort of a bad way here. It's going to already be JSON, isn't it? Escape characters. We want to escape characters in a Python thing. That's what we want to do, right? How many stupid windows do I have here? Python encode character. Something like yaw. Ah, good grace. There we go. Well, that's actually going in the wrong direction, so that's unfortunate. The string escape codec? Let's see. That's a thing. Didn't work there, so we're going to leave that alone. I had a different thing that was going in that one, so that's going to be less interesting than it could be. Actually, how about this? Print view.subster sublime.region 0 len. Okay. Is that not what that was doing? I should pay more attention to stuff before I start randomly fiddling things. IntelliFence is a PHP-based language server. LSP IntelliFence is a wrapper around it. Set up the server for you. It's a semi-premium language server. Oh, really? That's interesting. I didn't realize that there were some LSP servers that require license fees. I thought they were all open source. I guess that makes sense, though. Oh, I should use an underscore, I guess. At least that's how it seems to be portrayed. Nope. One more try. Decode string underscore. Oh, whoops. Unicode underscore escape, perhaps. No, huh? Oh, it has to be bytes. Of all of the things that we've accomplished here, being stymied by being able to turn a string. Maybe I'm overthinking it, and if we actually provided it that way, the JSON encoder would encode it. So let's say that that's actually the case, and I'm just making this really, really complicated. Is that similar to IntelliFence and VS Code? I'm going to guess, Stephen, that it's exactly the same, and it probably uses the same server, because LSP servers are what Visual Studio Code uses behind the scenes. So it would be kind of weird if that wasn't the case, I would think. Let's remove none of that business. Let's just assume that this will probably do what we want. Yeah. That's kind of, I think I was overthinking how to make that work. If as long as it's a valid dictionary, it should encode into JSON inside of the library, and there's nothing else that we have to do about it. Okay. Modified in YouTuberizer. We probably don't need this one any longer. And we got the tags in. So if we were to do that one more time, let's just verify. It's going to be interesting to see because we're fiddling with localized, but I'm sure we're not expected to be localized to, we localize our stuff as we send it up, right? That seems like it would be a ridiculous thing to expect if I had to guess. Nervous time because I think, well, actually, I guess there's a little bit more we have to do here. We want to return details. So here's where things start to get a little tricky. In order to execute this command, we need to be able to get at the same mechanism that everything else is doing, which means knowing how to do yaw. So we don't specifically need this one. What we really need is just YouTube request. We don't need any of this other stuff. I highly recommend Sublime 4 though for LSP since a ton of improvement have gone into making LSP better. And the ST3 branch probably won't receive updates. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That Sublime 4 is just sort of super cool across the board for a variety of other reasons, let alone that. So it's still currently in private beta, if you will. What that means is that if you go on the Discord, there's an announcements channel. You can download the latest version of it there, including an ARM version for ARM Linux if you happen to be running that particular thing. But it's not announced publicly on the web page yet, so none of the download links are visible outside of the Discord unless someone didn't follow rules and plunked one out there. You need to have a license to use it because it counts as a development version of Sublime Text. But if you have a license, you can use it when it's officially announced. You may or may not need another license because the license scheme is changing to be, instead of all updates to a major version, to all updates that come out in a 3-year period. So the version number is going away. We only refer to it as Sublime Text 4 to make it distinct from Sublime Text 3 while we're talking about it. So if you have a license and you bought it in less than 3 years, Sublime 4 will be available to you right away. If your license is older than 3 years, then you probably have to pay something, but we don't know what that something is yet. And it's not a subscription. Should also point out, you do have to pay every 3 years to get more updates, but you get all updates within the 3-year period, and then you can keep using the latest version in your 3 years or anything that came before it in perpetuity. You're never forced to pay more to keep getting what you're getting. This needs to be YouTube request. And so, okay, this is good. This is good. Let's swap this for a second. Oh, sorry. These ones don't even need to be here. Those were just test stuff. This one we're going to change to be, uh-oh. That one we need. Because we need to specify them. I assume we need to specify them in the JSON that we provide in the same format it gives them to us. So all of these things should be get new data, let's say, and this would be get edited details. Let's call it that. So because we subclass YouTube request, that does all of the magic of allowing us to make requests here. So we don't need to implement run. If YouTube's not authorized, it's going to invoke the authorize command to get the YouTube thread up and running and ready to go to verify everything is correct, which would then invoke _authorized. Otherwise, if you are authorized, it just invokes _authorized directly, which isn't in here. But all we need to do is implement that, and we might even go look at one like so that we know what to plunk in here. Maybe we will paste it into the appropriate view. Yes, the Discord is a great place to hang out. Just in general, we have a lot of fun in there, just chatting amongst each other about a variety of things. A lot of the more active people in the Sublime Text community hang out in there, including the developers. Even John himself has been known to appear from time to time. The level of response that you can get if you have a question about anything Sublime Text related in a lot of the time a really fast turnaround, because we have people from all over the world looking at stuff. If you happen to be in the Discord, you might ask a question and get an answer right away, as opposed to asking in the forum and you have to wait for someone to come along and notice. It's a great place to hang out. Not that I'm addicted to it or anything. I can stop anytime I want. All right, the request we're gonna make. Set video details. Set video details. Right? Yes. And we're going to say that the part we're going to set is a certain string, and I've already forgotten what the other part of that is. Video underscore details. Video underscore details is going to be self.get edited details, like so. And I think we stashed the part we expect to get here. Maybe we won't take those single quotes so that we don't do something too terrible. So When you run the command, it verifies that you're currently authorized, does all the stuff that it needs to do to make sure you are authorized. It invokes _authorized for us. This is the entry point for any command that interacts with YouTube. We make a request to set video details using this part and the edited video details, which are the details that were stored when the window was created, and then we also grab the title, the description, and the tags, update them into that details dictionary, return it back, which is stashed into there. And I guess it is good to go, except that we need one more thing in here, or it's going to get so angry. I didn't need to copy that because it's going to be very obvious. This is going to be called _set video details. And we just have to say log video details saved. Let's move this down too so that these things happen in a more logical order. I checked my records. It seems I purchased my Sublime Text on April 2015. You would have to pay some amount of fee to get Sublime 4 when it officially launches publicly. It hasn't been publicly announced yet, so it may or may not have been decided how that's going to work. If someone that has a license that's older than the 3-year period will not get any sort of bonus or have some sort of upgrade fee for like the last time, sort of based on the license agreement. There's going to be some sort of payment there. We don't know what, but until that actually is publicly released, the license you have now will work. So you can continue to use it right now and get on with it. It's beta. Sublime Text 4 is beta, but I've been using it as my daily editor in production work since last November, and a bunch of other people in the Discord have as well. We can count on less than the fingers on one hand how many times there was a problem that caused it to crash or otherwise be unusable, and the fix usually came later the same day, within a couple of hours or early the next day. And you can always roll back one version if you need to because all of the links are there. So Sublime 4 also will just automatically use the configuration area for your Sublime Text 3 installation and share it, so you can technically run the two of them side by side if you'd like to. Well, of all the things I expected to go wrong, that's not one of them. Okay, where are we in this thing? Reveal. We're inside of commands. 2 takes us up to source. Oh, is it only supposed to be? Wait a minute. Oh, is it in the core? It's in the core. Oh. Whoops. We probably want something like that then? No? Let's search and see where I used it, because now I'm kind of confused. Oh, right. Derpity derp. Something like yaw. All right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to push the button. Something's going to happen, and I don't know what it is. We're mildly nervous about what might actually occur here. Okay, let's see. Let's close both of those for now. And all right, this is the current video details for this. As a matter of fact, for our own purposes here, let's do a whole complete thing here. Oh, that is bright, man. All right, so we're in here. We're in here. Let's see all of the videos with a missing table of contents. There's this one. We hover over it and we say, let's edit that one in Studio. So it loads, and this is the most recent infos that appear inside of this thing. Title here, this is the body, and there's one tag that is sample tag. Hey, check that out. This is a pretty popular sample tag. Cool. All right. So that's what's in there right now. Let's I'm gonna push the button. This is gonna be like real exciting or real exciting for a different reason. Let's see what happens. In all likelihood, I've probably got some variable somewhere wrong. Hmm. Okay. Hang on. I got this. Okay, now let's go check the code and actually solve the problem. That's this one here. In networking, what did I do wrong? 661. I didn't grab that out, did I? Yeah. I named the variable something different than I thought I did. That should be new details, and that should be new details. That one's already new details. We're clobbering over it. Oh no. Maybe we should change that. All right. That's the variable. That's the one that it's using to print. That's the one that it's going to stick in here. Whoops. Boop. And then the new details are the ones that it gets in the result. It caches them. It returns them. All right. Okay. That last one, that one didn't work. But this was totally going to work. It's totally going to do a thing that doesn't involve totally destroying the entire content of my YouTube channel. And I kind of wish that I had done something to back up data. But tally ho. Okay. Good news. Unfortunately, it's hard to say what that particular problem might actually be. Uh, there's a ton of cool stuff. As a matter of fact, if I was to pick changelog here, first of all, I might go slightly blind because man, that's white. And do I have a scroll thumb? This is the build from November 30th of this year. It's been a little bit since the last build came out, unless I'm not using the most recent version, but I can't imagine that I'm not. Uh, and then eh, grab the thumb. There's this stuff, and Oh, Fin6 syntax highlighting bugs. One of the things that this now supports is the ability to have syntaxes that realize they did something wrong and then go back and try again with something different. So JavaScript syntax highlighting looks a lot better. There has been a lot of builds. The very first one that was released to us was build 4050 way back in November of last year. So it's been a year. There has been a fair number of rather large changes. Some of the big ones include that there's now two plugin hosts, the legacy one running Python version 3.3, so all existing packages should continue to work the same. And if they don't, that's an issue that should be raised because a lot of work has gone into making sure that they're backwards compatible. But there's also a Python 3.8 plugin host to bring us into the next millennia, if you will. We're not going to go to Python 3.9 because Python 3.9 doesn't work with Windows 7 and they're maintaining Windows 7 compatibility at least for a little while longer. But the very first build of this that was released to us in the channel was on the 13th of November 2019, and there was a ton of this just in that one, including different ways to trim trailing white space on save, caret style change, the default color scheme changed. Lots of different improvements in editing. Some things that used to be in plugins are now in the core, so they're faster. The autocomplete system is like ridiculous. Yeah, Aspen's like Sublime Text 4 features should keep the channel busy. Yeah, there is like a lot of stuff to go in here. I have a list like this long just of video topics for all of the stuff that are questions that people have had over the last year about using 4 over 3, not even necessarily going over all of the new stuff in the API, but just like how you set it up to run concurrent with Sublime 3, how you could have it to be separate, why the color scheme changed, the fact that the cursor doesn't blink by default anymore, all those little small questions. Um, Older versions of Windows are no longer supported. But yeah, there is like a ridiculous ton of stuff in here. Not gonna lie, that part's kind of overwhelming. So issues we have here include that this is a failure, but it's a 500 failure, which means that the request actually went, pardon me, went somewhere. It just didn't necessarily do what we want. So I'm going to call that a minor success. I'm not going to call the failure on that one, but I'm not entirely sure why that might be the case. Let's do this and plunk this out. Because I have this suspicion, my guess is that the reason why it's failing is because we're providing it basically all of this stuff, but it doesn't understand, like, say, e-tag or kind or something. So if we guess, if we looked at this thing, close that out for the time being. This lists all of the stuff that can be modified. Not necessarily a fan of how localizations is a thing, because that seems like it's going to cause us no end of problems. You must specify this. Oh, yeah. Check it out. Ready to print. Complete with syntax highlighting. Also, you can select some stuff and copy as HTML and paste it into Word or such. That's going to make my life a lot, well, I guess it would have made my life a lot better if I hadn't been switched off of the web project onto the other project. Anyway, cool thing. People have been clamoring for it for years, and here it is. The nervous maker for this is that theoretically these are the only things that we can actually provide here. So we may need to fiddle the data about somewhat. These are the things that it's actually providing. Title, description, tags. The part is snippet, content, details, status, and statistics. Let's do a little bit of this. Interesting. Going over this one more time, it overrides existing values for mutable properties contained in the parts in the thing that it specifies. Not all parts contain properties that can be set. Statistics encapsulates statistics that YouTube calculates for video and does not contain values you can set or modify. The following list contains the part names you can include, including topic details, suggestion status. Optional parameters. You must specify this. You can set values for these properties. Note how this list of things that you can specify is a lot shorter than this one, unless processing details is inside one of these things, because I don't see processing details inside of this as a thing that you can set. Is this an example of the documentation not being entirely helpful? The error type we got is error 500, so that's probably not good. I suppose print JSON, whoops, sublime.encode value details. Let's get it to print what it is that it's actually splorking out before What was that? When we do it, is there an error up there? No, there was not. Okay, clear that console. And then try it in the Explorer and see what's going down. So that one was an error still. 500, I guess, is not the greatest thing to have. Do that. Copy like yaw, and then we come over to here, and then we say, actually, we don't even need to do that, do we? Let's try it, man. The first thing we need to, yeah. We'll get to you in a second, pal. The request body is going to be this. This is what the request body is going to be, and the part string is going to be this. Yeah. Let's see what we got. Stick you in there. The scroll could theoretically happen in the correct place. So this is what we're sending it. Let's see what happens. For this channel, okay, well, I mean, let's go out on a limb and say that an error message like internal error encountered isn't the greatest of error messages to see, but this isn't much better. I'm kind of surprised, actually, before we go any further on this. Why? Oh, that the response comes back to this thing. Okay. Display equals true should totally make the panel appear if it displays an error, but that did not happen. But that's neither here nor there. The real question is, why doesn't it like this? And another question is, why is this such a tiny panel? What information in here is too much information? Like, what if we didn't have the E tag and we didn't have the kind? I guess specifically if we look at this snippet and content details, yes, ID is one that we had in that list. One would sincerely hope. Oh, ID's not in the list. Ooh. Let's say that that's probably necessary and we'll see what happens. Snippet content details. There's the ID. There's the content details. There's the snippet. Status and statistics. It should be all of the stuff that's in here. And that's all the stuff that's in here because we're sending back what we got. But that's still not something that's cool. That's bad. Because I think that sort of requires more information about what you can actually set in here and pulling just those things out if they exist and not all of the things, right? The unfortunate part of that being recording details appears here. So it's deprecated to specify that except for recording date. But if you didn't specify recording details, recording date, it would remove the recording date. So that's kind of an irritation. At least if there was various, see, it should be telling us various things that are wrong. If there's something wrong, like forbidden or not found or you're a moron or something, but it's just saying 500. And I don't know if that's an error here or an error with the other thing. And it didn't work in the API Explorer either. So I can't even, I assume that means it's not our request code that's wrong and it's what we're requesting that's wrong. would be my supposition for that, because otherwise it would work here and it wouldn't work there and we could chase it down. So you can set values for these properties. Let's just do a little verification on this thing here. We're going to go like so. I'm going to move this over to this desktop for a moment just to get it out of the way. Let's create a new window. And a little bit of, whoops, me, a little bit of that action. So that's the list of things that it thinks that it can do. Come on, man. A little bit of that. Back to the web page. This is the list of things that it thinks you can set. And that is going to be this one. So content details. Well, I mean, I'm not seeing any content details in this list of things that we can set. So if the, man, I wish that would work. If this says the following list contains the part names you can include in the parameter value, I can include content details in here, apparently. Okay. And then here's the things that you can put. You can set values for these properties, and that's not one of them. So I can say that I'm putting it there, but I can't actually put it there. If you're submitting an update request and your request does not specify a value for a property that already has a value, the property's existing value will be deleted. That's the part of this that makes me the scaredest. So, I mean, if we have the description and the title and the tags, that's the part we definitely are doing something with. Everything else is oh, here it is. This is the thing that I saw earlier. If you set a value for publish at, you also have to set the status privacy status to private. But this is the part that confuses me, because if I set this, I have to set it to private, because you can only set the publish at date if a video is private, which is how you schedule a video to appear on the channel at a specific time. So I guess that means if you don't specify publish at, then its publish date doesn't get erased. I mean, I guess that would be part of a scheduling thing. That's something to look at further down the line. Theoretically, we could not only update stuff, but also schedule it. In theory. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come over to not that, but this, and grab this bad boy, and then come to this. So snippet. I think what we maybe want to do is, do I have localizations in here? No. Okay. There's a specific set of stuff that I'm modifying. I'm guessing that I don't, for example, blow away localizations just by saying I want to update not localizations. The way that this reads is sort of the identifies the properties that the write operation will set and the properties the API will include that are contained. Note that this method will override the existing values for all of the mutable properties that are contained in any part that the parameter value specifies. For example, a video's privacy setting is contained in the status. As such, if your request is updating a private video and the results part parameter value includes the status, the video's privacy will be updated to whatever value. If the request body does not specify a value, the existing privacy setting would be removed. I'm assuming that means if you don't specify that you're updating something, that it's just left alone. So you could just update the title and nothing else. which maybe is the easiest thing to test inside of this bad boy, right? No, because if you specify an ID, you have to specify the title and the category ID. Okay, so let's say ID and snippet. Maybe we don't even need to do this. Yeah, I guess we do. Okay. So we're not specifying content details at all. We are specifying the ID so it knows what the video thing is. We want the category ID. This part is unlikely to be useful to anybody. We don't want to meddle with the description or localized. Let's say we want to modify the tags, the snippet, the tags. Let's not mess with the thumbnails because we want to know how that's going to go. I guess that's not the way to pull that off. And all of this stuff goes away too. So in theory, modified in the data tool. Is that bit. So we're keeping the category the same. We're modifying the tags and we're modifying the title, but that's all we're modifying. And all we're saying that we're modifying is the snippet. So if I bing this, that seems to have worked. It has a new title, but the description has been blasted because we didn't provide one up there. On the plus side, whatever thumbnail it thought it had is still there, maybe. And the tag's updated. So yeah. I'm sorry, that's actually this thing. Content. That's gone. This did not have a custom thing. The 3 sample tags are in there. Its visibility is still private, even though we didn't specify that the visibility was private. So that's good because the default for my privacy settings are unlisted. So that makes that part handy. Just for our purposes here, let's give it this. Imagine updating proper video details and everything is botched up like crazy. Yeah, that's exactly why this is kind of spooky. I was sort of hoping that the magic of this would be if you just said, here's the title, then it would say, oh yeah, okay, title. Yeah, I'm a developer from Google. I totally have the technological wherewithal to do a query join operation that just modifies one field in a database instead of deciding that because you didn't specify them that they should be completely blown away. There's got to be a reason why this is supposed to be a good idea, but I'll be danged if I know what it is. Okay, but this video now has a custom thumbnail. All right, instead of what it has the Simple Notes plugin one because I want to see what happens there. Now, if we do this again, we have the category ID. Let's take the tags out this time and only put in the category ID and the title. Maybe we also put in the description here too. Oh, actually, this will be interesting. It actually knows what it is that we can put in here. I can't believe you destroyed my description, man. The reason why that makes me very skeeved out is that I don't want to blow away data just because I didn't set it. I think that's probably okay because if we only say snippet and we don't say anything else, then any of the other stuff should be left the hell alone because we didn't tell it to update that. If that's not the case, this is the dumbest thing ever, but I'm pretty sure the way I'm reading that, that's not how that works. Let's execute that one. And if I came back over here, we'd have to reload this page. The good news is that the description is there. The bad news is I don't know how to spell believe. And the worst news is I just auto-completed it to bevel, but the thumbnail is still there. We did, however, blow our tags away. So I think, fingers crossed, that this should work. If the thing that we provide is the things that we asked for, and it has to give us the information, right? So all we have to do, I guess, is trim this to throw away any parts that aren't in here. And these are the things that we're interested in, but these are the only ones we want. So we want snippet, and we want content details, and we want status, and we want statistics. All the other stuff, whoops, like file details, you can't really change that anyway. I guess we want ID in there too. We didn't specify it, but we do. We don't care about that. If this was a live stream, we don't want to fiddle around with that. And that's not going to make any sense. I do not want to get into anything localization related because internationalization is the terrible. We're not going to play the video, so we don't care. Do we care that this video may or may not be processing? No. I mean, do I even have the ability to set that? I doubt it. Recording details, we're not going to worry about that. And none of those neither. So those are the only things we're interested in. And if we put these in a particular order, ID, snippet, content details, that. ID, yeah, I mean, clearly ID is a thing we want. Inside of snippet, there's those things. Inside of content details isn't even listed as something that we can put in here, so that's kind of the sad maker, such as it is. We'd have to check and see what it thinks about those. Statistics isn't listed in here. Status is listed in here. And publish ad is probably not anything that exists in here because I wouldn't be doing this for anything that is that way. I generally upload everything as either private or unlisted, and then once I'm done with my own QAing, then I schedule it, which makes it private and adds that publish at date thing. These are the only parts of this we care about. I'm going to do this for just a sec. I mean, I did that for the other one too, but category ID is that it specifically said we needed to provide a category ID in this little documentation thing. Category ID, title, description. Why would I be able to change the channel title inside of a video when the channel title is the title of the channel that the thing is actually on? And thumbnails is a thing we can specify in here too, even though technically speaking I didn't provide it and it didn't clobber it out. This is just really spoopy as a thing. I don't know why it is that's failing. The thing that we put in had an ID. What if it had this stuff in it? Does it get mad about this? No, that's still okay. Let's copy this over to here. And click and error. Okay. Let's say we don't want any thumbnail stuff in here. This is not the time to be fiddling with a thumbnail. Does taking that out solve the problem? No. Let's say what? Content details. If we look at this thing, that's a thing we're asking for. It doesn't appear in the list of, well, it appeared in the list of stuff up there, but it doesn't appear in the list of things down here. So what if we took content details out? Because this is nothing that you could actually change anyway. I guess you could change license content or whatever. Let's blunk that part out. Still no. Say we don't want a kind and we don't want an e tag. Should be harmless. What if we didn't add in statistics? Statistics was in its list of things, but you can't really set them, so maybe we're not allowed to provide them. Still no. Is it getting mad because I told it things that it doesn't necessarily know about? It only knows about those things? Should we undo? Let's put all of that back and then set this thing back to the value that it had before. Not that one, though. That's not the right one. I'm starting to get a sense that this is not something that we may get working tonight. That's all the stuff we want to put in here, and we'll add ID as well because we want to get that information back. So that's everything. We execute, we get the error. Statistics, is that something we asked for? I mean, yeah, but maybe we don't specify it in here. Maybe their documentation is meant to read like this is the list of stuff you can set, and it's also the list of stuff you get back, and don't give us stuff that you can't set, but you'll get it back anyway. So maybe that's the problem. I'm not interested in noodling with thumbnails at all, so this part can go away. Published at, yeah, imagine if not sending statistics and everything goes to zeros. That would be a hell of a thing, wouldn't it? Let's not include a content rating. Content rating is empty. Content rating is empty. I mean, well, we don't have any content rating. We also don't know if it's HD or, well, we don't know any of that stuff. How about that? We're really shotgunning trying to figure out what exactly it is about this thing that makes it so unhappy. And theoretically wondering if it has anything to do with Google just having a broken API Explorer or something. It's a global backend internal error. How about this? How about this? I kind of want to modify this information to contain only what they say you can put in it, except that the list of things you can put in and the list of things you get out don't necessarily track. But maybe that's again. Let's look at that one more time. We can get that back. The part parameter serves two purposes: the properties that the write operation will set and properties the API will include. This method will override the existing values for all of the mutable properties that are contained in any parts the parameter's value specifies. For example, yeah, so the way that this is worded, maybe what we're saying is this is the list of things that you can shoot in here, but this is the full list of things that you can modify, and the other parts that you put in there are stuff you're going to get back, and any other parts of these are things you're not going to see either. Because there's just sort of a that might work, Ashwin. He's saying in the comments there that why not start with a response that wasn't resulting in error and then add stuff in that may trigger it. 'Cause it's sort of a 50-50 taking stuff down because there isn't anything obvious, but I'd like to understand what exactly it means by this. So here's what we're going to do as one last test before we shotgun this. This says this is the list of everything that it says we can actually modify. You must specify these. You can specify these. So let's copy that and go down here and blop it like this. So if the video was, whoops, we're definitely updating the snippet because we're updating the title, right? And we definitely need the category. So these are all definitely required. So we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to get rid of that, and those are musts. These are maybes, right? You must also set the privacy status to private. Okay, let's say we're not going to mess with that at all. We're going to delete that one out of here. So if we have this, and let's go ahead and copy, bang, boom, this thing here, and say we have an ID, and that's one we definitely want. And then we grab the snippet and bump the snippet up like this. Whoops. Yeah. Thanks, guy. That's really handy. I should have cut that out. Stop showing me the bottom. That doesn't help. I mean, I guess it kind of does because I know when I cleared the thing. But we won't do that next time. Okay. These are the things that exist into this. So category ID, yes. Channel ID ain't in here. Let's get rid of that. And channel type. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Channel ID, no. Oh, actually, let's move them up. Category ID, yes. Default language is one. Description is one. Tags, that's one. And title, which is this one. That's all the things that snippet can do. So we can't set this, the default language, if it was broadcast. Definitely don't want to set localized. You can't tell it when it was published. You tell it when it's published. We're not going to specify thumbnails. Let's presume that it's nice enough to not require you to do that. But that's all of the snippet bits that it will allow. The idea of that we're doing this here is that if this is a list of things we absolutely can set, we can easily set this as some sort of iteration on the details that we have and then still specify the part that says what we want and hopefully do the correct thing. Now the next one is status, which is this one. Let's do this the easier way and plump it down in here. Embeddable, true, license, YouTube, privacy status is private. Public stats viewable is true. I'm changing the order. It should not matter, but just to make it easier to track. Self-declared made for kids. Upload status isn't one. And we're not going to specify that because it's not in the list. Recording details isn't one of the things we're going to include in here, so we don't care about that one. And localizations also not. So all of this stuff goes away. So in theory, we should be able to ask for this I got so many windows. That's the part that we want. This is what we're actually updating for this video. And then we go boop, and she works. And the data that falls out, okay. At some level, oh. At some level, this works. So good. The documentation says that the part does a double duty, telling it what you're going to modify and what it should come back with. But it also tells you things that you can include in that list that you're not allowed to put in. So either the documentation is broken and we're screwed, or it's trying to tell us that these are all the things you can get back, but these are the things that you can set. Don't set things you can't set. I mean, which it should ignore, but clearly causes some issue behind the scenes. It also says anything that you specify gets erased, or don't specify gets erased or put to some default or what have you. So let's presume that it only does that for something that it would only delete things from the list of things it can modify if you didn't pass them. It didn't work from YouTuberizer because I haven't put the filter code in yet. Before I do it, there's one more thing that I'm going to check here. Just for sanity's sake, what we're going to do is, well, reload this and we can see. Yeah, you reload. Stuff happened. I don't know. I don't care. Let's, no, I don't create a thumbnail. You change that thumbnail. Once you put a custom thumbnail in, you can't remove it, you know? I guess we just got to click that. Okay. Put it back to what it was originally. Here's what we're going to do. There's got to be other videos here that we definitely don't care about. Let's say unlisted videos. There's only a few of these. Let's do simple lower thirds test. Yeah, okay. So we're going to modify this. So it's got a title and it's got a description. It doesn't have a custom thumbnail, so let's stick one in so that we can verify. Because if it was doing something like taking the custom thumbnails and putting it back to default thumbnails, but they were already default thumbnails, we can't tell that that's what's happening, right? So we're going to put the Simple Notes plugin thing on this one so that we can tell. Playlist information isn't contained in the video, so we don't care about that. It's not made for kids. Or maybe we say it is made for kids, just temporarily, because we can delete this afterwards. This isn't even the video that I actually want. This video is set to be made for kids. It does not contain anything like that. Tag 1, tag 2, tag 3, like so. We're not going to do anything like that. Yeah, it's like totally English, no recording date, no location. Well, I mean, let's set the recording date to be December 1st. What the hell? Can't search, huh? Boop. Standard YouTube license distribution everywhere. Let's say that you can't allow embedding and you will not publish, and its category is education. And yeah, comments are disabled. And turn off that flag. That seems like a ton of stuff that I would never modify. And things like unlisted end screen and cards are not things that you can do with this API. So let's save this. And we're done. Okay. Now, we need this video link here so that we can go to this bad boy. We just need this. And we need to gather the details for this based on the part that we're going to set, which is this. So what we're going to do is go over to this thing and pick videos list. And we're going to say, try this API. This is the part we want. We'll include ID in here. ID, snippet, content details, status, and statistics is the stuff that we want. And when it comes to the actual video that we're interested in, we click 100 things and pick this. And then go back to the place where we were. This should be the ID of the video that we're actually interested in, I believe. And then execute. And yeah, we need to do some stuff because it's been a while. Really? Oh, whoops. That should be a comma. Okay, execute. Oh, actually, let's do it to this one and not this one, just so that it's exactly what we're doing here, right? Always good. That channel. And we got back a response and it worked. So let's copy this like so. We come to here, create a new tab and say, original data is this one. And then we'll view.setScratch. Just to make that quiet, like so. So this is the data that came back when we did it, and we could like go through here. It's got a title, some description-y stuff. We're going to be able to tell if that one's actually there. We'll be able to tell if those are different. There's some tags. A bunch of stuff was changed. Now we're going to copy that and come over to this one. Paste it in and do the same thing here that we did just a moment ago. And say, okay, the things that we can include in this, actually, we need to be a little bit smarter about that. Pardon me. Oh, no. We really hooped. I hope that is a bug. I can't wait to be fixed. There. Trim out that, and everything from here down is us. So all of that part goes away. Whoops, went too far. Need to change the spaces to 2. Oop, okay, cool. Set that back to what it should be. Now, again, we do the same thing. We definitely said that we could specify the ID. We don't want either of those two things. There's a title that we want to specify. We need the category ID, which is this one. It's different than what it was before because we modified it. It's not going to be the same as every other one. And snippet, title, category, ID are the ones that we absolutely must specify. And then we grab default language is one that we want. And description and tags. So description is 1. And tags. That was untoward. And snippet.title is one that's already up there. So we didn't have published or channel ID or thumbnails or channel title or live broadcast. We're not fiddling with any of that business. So those ones are all done. Next, Content details isn't in this list, so let's just go ahead and throw that one all away like this. Status, embeddable. Again, putting them in a different order just so that it's easier to verify. Privacy status, public views, public status viewable, self-declared, made for kids in this particular case. Yeah, you're not going to be able to. Made for kids is one that YouTube's machine learning uses to try to figure this out. And then you can also specify yourself. There's already an API to do that sort of thing. But yeah, that might be interesting too. Implement Hootsuite, but in a Sublime Text plugin. How many different ways can we log in with OAuth from this thing? Okay, that's status. Statistics is nothing that we have in here at all. And neither is that. So, in theory, this is the minimum amount of information that we can set in based on what we're sending out, right? And pardon me, still end up. And glow shows that everything still lines up right. So this is the long, painful way to do this, but we're going to update. And the thing we're going to update is this, like so. And the part we're going to use is this one, because that's what we used last time. And that should definitely be on that one. And then we execute, and it's been more than 15 seconds, so we need to click all these buttons again, because this is totally fun for testing. And a result comes back. We copy that to the appropriate window, which is this one. And this is new data. Coolly cool. Now, here's where things start to get a little sketchy. Compare to view new data. This is the minimum to not get 500 errors, but I guess specifically this is using only things that the uh, the documentation says you can actually do. So the first time we did this, this is the data we got back. And this time, this is the data that we got back. The kind information is different, which is weird. I guess because we were using a different API. So, okay, I go with that. Published at, changed. Thumbnails changed slightly. And this is something that could definitely stand to be side by sided in something, but I don't think I have any handy tools for that aren't going to try to three-way merge it. But this goes thumbnails default, and this is thumbnails default, so it's just sort of gotten confused about where things go. 90, 320, 486, 40, 1280. 90, 180, 360, 480. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I need to save these and diff them a different way. But look all this information that's not here that was here. Oh, but maybe it's down here now instead. Okay, how about this? Should have did that first, right? Oh, God. My retinas. Many have asked why I don't just have that set to always make everything dark by default? And the answer is that some pages look like a butt that way. Compare this to this. Two unequal values. What's this telling me? Okay, page info. Yeah, no one cares about that. This was a slightly different response that came back. Mostly it's just I should be comparing it against the items. Oh, okay. I see what I did there. Here. Hang on. I just grabbed the whole response out of the one and out of the other, but this provides video information directly, not with any items array. So that's probably going to be unhappy. But this one does provide items. So we want something probably like yaw, and then all this stuff goes away. I think that's why it's getting mad about there not being one, but there is in the other. Let's go back and do that again. Ah, that's the newly fixed original. And this is the new. If these are the same, then we didn't clobber any properties that we didn't expect to clobber. Because what we got before we did something and what fell out after we specified some things is the same. The E tag is different, but I can't imagine that I care because I'm not entirely sure what that even is. Status includes made for kids originally, but not now. Self-declared made for kids. On the whole, that's not too shabby. The thumbnails clearly stayed the same. So I think that means that that will actually work for us. This is the list of stuff that we should clang out of here. So that's the part. And we don't want recording details. That's not anything in here, and neither is localizations. So what we need basically is a dictionary filter that makes sure only these keys exist and nothing else does. Right? And then it would just all work, such as it is. We've been going for quite some time here, haven't we? I'm looking in the wrong spot. I think YouTube should understand Sublime is totally kid-friendly. Yeah. That whole kid-friendly thing was really for a while there, everybody was super panicked about it, and then I think it just sort of went away a little bit. I did more than I wanted to do there. Shoot. Because people that do Lego videos and stuff, you can't monetize a video that's meant for children, and I think people were perhaps rightly so. I didn't have any skin in the game because my content is definitely not meant to attract the same sort of audience as people that want to watch early morning cartoons on Saturday and like colorful things. I mean, everything's gray. This is as boring as it gets. And my monotonous, sonorous voice. But there was a lot of people that were afraid that their livelihood was going to go away. Well, that's not the right thing, because of the rules being changed. And it all comes down to YouTube's not allowed to display any sort of advertising on something that's meant for kids. And that means that you can't monetize something that's made for kids. So they have automated systems and machine learning and theoretically humans, but maybe that's modified by coronavirus, that try to determine when something looks like it's made for children to flag it as such. But You can also specifically say for yourself whether or not your stuff is made for kids or not. And if the machine learning algorithm agrees with your assessment when it circles around, then you have less problems waiting to know if your video can be monetized or not. Do-do-do. Okay. We're gonna need a bigger boat. No. That's definitely the part that we want, right? And the other thing that we're interested in, that window can stay this. Is the list of stuff that we're going to do something with. I'll put that one over there too, just to get it out of the way. And if I overlap these just so, then I can also make our lives a little bit easier from the point of view of this. Where'd the other one go? There. I'll take them out of this state of the taskbar so things will be a little bit nicer. Let's do it up here just so that it's a little bit nicer. This is just, some rinky-dink test code. I had a, yeah. I mean, maybe we don't even need a method for this. We could just implement it inline. Yeah. Let's move this down a little bit then. This means that we're looking for something like yaw. Dictionary comprehension that iterates over this list of keys that we want. Maybe we should I don't know what order comprehensions are assessed in, but maybe we don't want to do something silly like that. Okay. Whoops. New details for. Funny question, probably. Did you learn Python yourself or go to university? I went to university, but Python wasn't one of the languages that I learned there. In fact, I'm not entirely sure that Python actually existed at the time that I was in university. When was Python created? All right. Python had been around for 1 to 2 years at the point when I was in university. So technically it existed, but I don't know how popular it was at the time. What I learned to code in university or college or whatever designation it was that it had was Pascal and C and assembly language and COBOL and by extension JCL. Which is something that you use to control mainframes, which is what you use to do stuff with COBOL. But technically speaking, before I went to college, I already knew Python because I learned it in high school, and or sorry, not Python, Pascal. If I said Python there, I meant Pascal, Turbo Pascal specifically. I knew that from high school and had been using it there, and I had already given up on Python and learned C myself before I went to university. So I didn't really learn anything that I didn't already know there for that. I did learn COBOL, but I haven't used it since. And all of the other languages that I've picked up have been outside of university. So I don't even remember all of them, like Java, JavaScript, C Sharp. Uh, those sorts of languages are languages that I know, but nothing that I took a formal course in. So in that case, and Python is in that list too. So in that case, no is perhaps dubious. The magic of coding, if you're a developer yourself, you know this, is that, and it's something that my professors in a couple of my college classes used to say, or maybe just the one guy, that good programmers understand semantics and bad programmers understand syntax, which is to say that what you do in Python versus C Sharp versus Java versus TypeScript versus JavaScript, the general idea for all of those classes of languages is the same, right? You're piecemeal giving it a list of instructions of things that it needs to do in what order. You're doing loops, you're doing subroutine calls, maybe you're creating classes, maybe you're just creating functions that call each other. All things told, it's all the same. It's just the syntax of how you tell the language to do it is different. So once you know some languages, as long as the next one works the same kind of way, then it's really just a matter of thinking in your head, okay, well, if I was writing this in C, I would say void Bob and then the name of the arguments, but I'm using Python, so it's def instead. And there are some other, that sort of thing plays out. So for that reason, I can do stuff in Python, but I bet somebody that learned this in university is probably the the real issue there. I probably look like I'm a complete fool. I mean, there's a lot of things. I should say this as well. All of the time that I've been a professional software developer, which has been for over 20 years now, I've been doing for 19 of those years nothing but C and Objective C and those kinds of languages at work. Everything else that I've learned, I just sort of was my hobby coding stuff. Starting 4 years ago, that's when I learned Python because that's when I started using Sublime Text and I wanted to create plugins. And this is a very specific environment for using Python because you very rarely need to say open a file because if I'm writing a plugin, Sublime did that part for me. So there's a lot of those sorts of things that I can never quite remember exactly how to do them because I don't have the rote memory of knowing I need to include standard IO and use fopen and check that the return value is null and use fgetS and not getS because there's going to be a potential buffer overflow problem there and all that sort of business. But yeah, as Aswin says, in short, syntax is the least of your worries. You need to, once you understand the basics of the instructions you need to make, it's just a matter of deciding how you want to do them. Not all languages lend themselves to that, of course. Some things just work in a slightly different way or a radically different way, and it's not just the syntax that's different, but a whole new way of thinking. But then there's a bunch of languages that would be classed like that as well, which sort of follows over. This analogy falls down in the idea that you can learn JavaScript and write simple stuff like we're doing here, but if you want to do classes, you need to know about its weird uh, mechanism for prototypical inheritance, which is different than some other languages, but by and large, you get those things in your head and then you end up being on live streams for several hours and getting confused about whether you're working in TypeScript or Python because you're bobbling back and forth between languages. uh, okay, snippet equals new details snippet. Okay, so The things that can appear in a snippet or should appear in a snippet. This is probably going to blow up in my face, isn't it? Oh, and welcome to the Discord, by the way. You will see me and Ashwin in there. He's in a different part of the world than me, and we have radically different time zones, but I seem to somehow live in the Discord, so chances are good no matter what time of the day or night you say something, I'm probably walking by an iPad and hear a bloop and then say hello or something. There's probably a better way to do this, but you know. And I'm reasonably assured this is going to blow up because surely what happens here if any of these things actually aren't in this, right? Okay, that's snippet, and then status is equal to new details for status. And these keys. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boop, and these two go away. Long? Sure. All right. Something's going to happen. I mean, probably nothing good, but here we go. Okay, this is end card templates. We're going to need to open that one again. That's uploaded videos. Boop. Title here goes away. There are many like it, but this one is mine. And then we go ahead and do the thing where we say Sublime Text, space, space, Sublime Text 2 and Text 3. Testing, trailing space, no space, leading and trailing space, and empty tags. This is all the information that we might possibly want to do something in here in. I bet you that didn't work because I had the console open. What do you think? Did it work? Woo! Boy, that blew up hardcore. Right on. That's sort of what I thought. Okay. We can fix it. All right, so this may or may not do what we want, but the idea, I'm pretty sure the reason why that failed is that it's trying to pull things out of the dictionary that don't actually exist. And there's probably a better way to do that, which is to use a set, right? Boop. All right, that worked, except for the part where I was expecting a response to come back. That, in fact, did not. But visibility private. Look, it says the title, but not title here. There are no, oh, I forgot to fiddle the thumbnail around. Shoot. Well, we'll fix that in just a second. No, that's not made for kids. There's no paid promotions. There's all of the tags that we put in here. Hey, I think we got some success here, and our only problem is that the thing that we were using to pull it back didn't work. One teacher told me the concept of computer programming is transferable across different languages, only the syntax is different and different paradigms. Indeed, sometimes even the paradigms are very similar, or similar enough that if you're familiar with them, with languages as a whole, then you can remember that stuff seems to be working. Uh, yeah, that in a certain case, I need to do this a slightly bit different, or this means this here, but it's not an insurmountable, not like the very first language you use to program and everything seems so incomprehensible. All that work you put in goes along. I'm going to do this now because that worked, man. That totally worked. Um, the problem, such as it is that it blew up when it actually got the response back. This is a code of -1 means we threw an exception, and the exception that we threw is we expected there to be a list of items that came back, but there is not a list of items that came back. So that is the issue for that. So this needs just to be this, which frankly makes that look a lot nicer, right? Okay, let's reload that. Okay. We're in the home stretch here. Here's what we're going to do. This change here, we haven't tested it yet, but we're going to stage it, and then we're going to say this. Shoot. Okay, and then we take this thing, and we take this thing. Oh, I guess I could have just amended the previous commit, huh? Never mind. I forgot that that's the only thing that happened. Now I'm kind of forced to do it, so we will. Boop, and then boop. Okay. Oracle SQL has different syntax than MySQL syntax, especially when you're working with dates and times. Oh my, yeah. You might, if you use SQL at all in Sublime, you might note that the syntax that it uses is sort of not great. If you happen to be using whatever version of SQL that the person that originally wrote the SQL syntax way back when was using, or various things don't work. For example, the syntax thinks certain things that other SQL servers use to specify quoting. It thinks they're like comments. I am not a big database guy, but yeah, it's good times, right? um, let's tweak this up a little bit. Oh, sorry. First of all, let's test to make sure that that thing that we actually just did works. So let's go ahead again and say commit. And oh, shoot. What did I break? What did I break? Oh, that's not how that works. That is a whole different kettle of fish. Oh, we need to also do this too. Whoopsie whoopsie. 669. Cache data video ID. Actually, cache data would be whatever is used in fetch video details. This is what we actually need to use here. Update the cache to that. And I'm going to go ahead and say that there's probably some slight issue with that still as well. Come on, man. How many times do I have to make the same stupid mistake before I catch on to this business? Um, the response that this gives back is slightly different. I don't know that that necessarily matters. Come on, man. The good news is it got as far as saving and that our network code isn't broken anymore. So let's stage that and amend to the previous commit. So yeah, we totally managed to do that. That part's working good. We need to actually put the log code in the thing that does logging, because of course we do. We'll leave that there for the time being. I think something like yaw. Nope. I think something like this. All right. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, anticlimactic, but video details saved. And we got it working, but still mind blown. Is that actually playing a sound? I don't think it. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Never mind. Other things to look forward to on the stream. Okay, good. Now we need to make this not dumb, and we're running out of time to get this actually done today. So we'll do one little tweak here. Quote unquote. Ye old watch this. I'm gonna say that this one should always be there, because we're always going to have a title and we're always going to have the status that says stuff. But I guess we don't necessarily need to know. Is this the magic of a set comprehension? Yes, okay. Top keys is going to be yaw, but maybe we wrap them appropriately. Time to buy this plugin and ensure YouTube Studio safety. Yeah, would that it was. Snippet keys. That level of quality of stuff. They're more likely to shut me down on legal reasonings. Okay. Like so, and oh, let's do a little bit of that. And the last one was status keys is equal to this bit of business here. Okay, now, this needs to be fixed, but the idea is this can go back to being key theoretically, because if we have these, and you know what, let's do a little bit of this. We'll copy it up here, because these are going to be a variable. They don't need to be inlined. They don't need to be created on the thing. There. You know what the good way to actually format these things is? Maybe we do it this way. Whoops, just because it seems to look a little bit nicer. I mean, my fights with the linter stuff for Python is legendary. These represent the keys that we're allowed to put into the updated video details when we ask YouTube to modify the details on a video. Okay. And then we come down here and we can just do a little bit of this action. Get rid of all of this nonsense. Okay. And this is the bit that would technically fail, snippet keys. And this would be, oh, we should probably swipe this just a slight bit. This is status keys. So this puts us back basically to the situation that we were in previously, which hopefully still compiles good. But the idea is that, whoops, don't do that. Y is 2, and we have like a dictionary like so, and keys is equal to X, Y, and Z, for example. There's more things in here that we expect to see. Then the set of X dot keys minus keys is an empty set. Wrong order. Intersection. What's the intersection? The and? There we go. Get the list of keys we know we actually want, intersect it with the keys that we need, and come up with the ones that we can actually use. And then we don't have to set nuns in there and hope that they encode and all of that silly nonsense. So we can say keys here is equal to top keys minus the set of details keys. These ones don't need to be here now. This is going to be snippet keys. And this one's going to be status keys. This may not be the final form of this, but we're just sort of trying to hustle it in. This is why we might say factor this out. And this is an example of something that I would do this way and then say, you know what, the only thing that's different between all of these is the dictionary that you use to get the keys from and the dictionary that you pass. So this could very easily be abstracted away, and you can assume that something like that's going to happen, but it's not going to happen tonight, assuming this works, because I have to have all this stuff committed in 14 minutes and go to bed because it's 11:44 in the PM, and I've been doing this for a while. But we will make this ours. That is a bad sign. Okay, that broke it real good. What did I do wrong? Oh, did I do it in the wrong order? The keys we want are the top keys. Oh, plus I did that wrong because it's supposed to be the intersection of the stupid things. Derpity derp. A little bit of that action. That gives us new details. New details snippets should be the dictionary, right? Why is it unhappy about this? Oh, right. It's unhappy about that because I totally bobbled up the thing that actually set the keys that it was supposed to have, so it ended up having none. However, on this roller coaster of emotion, um, alternatively, I still broke it. I'm going to quit this and restart it because I just want a nice clean set of stuff because I haven't done that. Okay, So we're unhappy in can you not iterate over a set? Oh, I didn't change these things. That's stupid. Let's fix that, shall we? This is also why copy-paste programming is not necessarily the greatest idea that anybody ever came up with. Oh, come on, man. Self-declared made for kids. Is that not one of the status things? Yeah, it is. Now what did we do wrong? We need to debug it. So let's clear the console and do that one more time. That's an amazing typing speed. Did it take you a lot of coding to get to that level? Well, I started doing computer programming stuff when I was in grade 5, way back in the day. And I think I would have been 10 then, so I've been coding for 35, 36 years. So probably I've never actually taken the typing course. When I got to high school, there was supposed to be a mandatory touch typing course, specifically on old-timey typewriters, because that's how old I am. But I got a special pass on the course because I already knew how to touch type just based on all of the years that I spent doing it. Um, so, yeah, I mean, that may also explain stupid typos sometimes. If my fingers get one key to the left, things get real funky real fast. ID snippet status. That's the top level keys. These are the snippet keys that actually exist, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Self-declared made for kids. Yeah, okay, those are the keys that we're actually using, so why is it having a problem with them, man? Status is the new dictionary, the new details status key. Then we take the status keys and intersect them with the keys in that dictionary. And then, oh, because of the other part of the copy paste problem. Honestly, I'm like a real poster child for whatever I did to get to this point in my life. Maybe that's not the greatest, or maybe I'm sort of not off my game a little bit at 11:50 in the evening. And it worked. I'm going to quit that and then I'm going to restart it because the ultimate test is, does it work from a clean state? As a matter of fact, I'm going to close this window. Close without saving. Here's what we're going to do. This was originally for setting up our template, our end card template. However, we have so many examples to choose from. Whoops. Rushing doesn't necessarily help. We're going to do that. Now, before we do anything else, fresh load, everything seems to be cool, and then we're going to clear that console. We're going to go to the old missing table of contents thing. And we're going to go like so. We're going to hover on that. We're going to say edit in studio like this. Now we're here. We're going to go ahead and upload ourselves a thumbnail of Simple Notes plugin 2, like so. It has the text that we just saw a second ago, so we're going to know if that's changed. Let's say that it is in fact made for kids. That's not one of the things. We'll leave the tags alone because we're going to modify the tags. It is English. The recording date was December 1st. The video location was Surrey, BC. Like so. You're not allowed to embed it. Please don't publish it. It's the Creative Commons Attribution License. It's in the category education because I'm going to see if it actually works. Don't show how many people like and dislike this video. Save those changes. And it's done. And then we close this tab as if it never happened. And we come to this one where we've changed the title and changed the body and changed the tags. It's the only thing we've changed. And then we probably shouldn't have done it that way. We're going to commit these changes to YouTube like this. It's probably going to clobber stuff now that I think about it. So let us close. Oh, I actually had one of those already open. Pardon me. We're going to go on that and we're going to say edit in studio. Let's see how many of those things are still here because we may have screwed it up by fiddling with stuff. That's still the same. It's made for kids. The tags are dumb and goodbye. It was recorded on December 1st in Surrey with the. I changed that license, didn't I? I turned off that. We may have technically messed something up by having that window open when we did it. Because there was some saved information that it was using that could have been something that we changed here. So let's test that theory. Let's edit this one. Okay. We'll put it back to the way that it was. For this and say like so, and then commit. Up she goes, close the window, edit in studio, and then we look. The title changed, that changed. The thumbnail is still part 2 of 5. Let's say that it's not made for kids, which is what we would expect. It doesn't contain any paid promotion. Sample end card, something that we'll tack in here just to be sure. That can stay the same. That can stay the same. Let's change this license to Creative Commons. Turn off that, but turn on that, and put this into education like it was before. Comment visibility, disable comments, and turn that one on. Save the changes. You remember the days of using correction tape? Ooh, never got to do that. I never really used a real typewriter for anything in order to. The first computer that I had was actually a ColecoVision Atom, which is basically what it sounds like, a ColecoVision that also had a computer associated with it, which had a super fast tape drive, much faster than what was available on the Commodore 64. Had 80K of memory instead of 64K. Basic wasn't built in. You had to use tapes for it. You could also play games on tapes and plug in cartridges, but the default state when you turned it on was a built-in word processor, and it came with a daisy wheel printer so that it looked like typewritten stuff when you printed it out, and it was noisy as hell to print. But that's as close as I ever got to that. That tag did not seem to appear there. Oh, you know what? One more step on that one, but I think we're going to be good here. And commit changes to YouTube. We're going to have to test whether or not this actually flushes, sets stuff correctly. Okay. Caption, not made for kids, doesn't contain paid promotion. It has that tag, December 1st, Surrey. That one's turned on. That's still the thing that you expect it to be. This should be how to and style. Allow all comments. That's probably what it was, right? It was probably this one. Sort by top, and this is still marked as private, right? Yes. Save changes. We are done, my friends. We actually did it. I'm going to press the button one more time, but with a dry finger. Okay, so that's what we got for that. Do we have any changes in networking? No, we don't. So let's say stage that, stage that, stage that. We'll stage all of them, actually. What the hell? And include a new command for committing changes. Not spelled right. Does that part actually matter? Committing. Boop. As is generally the case, when it comes down to it, we're going to take these and rewrite them before I push them up. Hopefully, they should still have the correct time. We have some ridiculous uptime here. I would imagine our uptime is something that I am allowed to do that. 3 hours, 52 minutes. This is the longest that I've ever streamed, and I should probably finish this stuff up so I can go to bed. So, guys, we did it. We got YouTube editing, and all it took was one day, almost 4 hours, minor amounts of hair pulling, and some dumb mistakes, which sort of come from sitting in the same thing for so long and trying to clean stuff up just slightly. Copy paste programming, you've heard me say it so many times on the stream, never does what you want. If you copy and paste something, it's most definitely got some problem in it. Make it work for one, then make it work for the others. Sometimes we lose sight of our own hints, but that's going to do it for tonight. We just get one more Devember live stream on the 31st, Thursday. Today's the 29th for right now, 30, 31. Going to be here at 8 o'clock. I'm the sort of guy that doesn't do a lot of exciting things for New Year's Eve. My wife gets up super early, so she goes to bed fairly early too. So all of our celebrations happen earlier in the evening because we are quite old, as noted by the gray in my beard. Hopefully, see you guys there in that one for at least some part. I'm not. We are in the sort of the home stretch of stuff. What we're going to be doing now is basically cleaning up what we have here, making sure that everything worked the way that we expect it to in a more controlled case from first principles, and maybe spend the last bits of this working on the templates system, which is also something that I wanted to do, but we ended up doing a bunch of other stuff. But it is midnight. It is essentially tomorrow, and I should not be here. So thanks everybody for watching. If you watched it live, if you hung out in the chat, and we had some fun discussions about learning programming and typing. You are all cordially welcome to jump into the live streams, ask questions about what we're doing, ask questions about heck, anything. If I have an answer, we just like to hang out and have fun in these times. You can use the button down below to thumb, subscribe, and share, ring the bell notification icon, or follow me on Twitter to know when we're going live on this channel. And down in the description of this video, under my big old talking head, there's a link to my other channel where every Monday I do regular Sublime Text tutorial videos. And the next ones coming up are hopefully going to be interesting. I have that area back behind me there, behind the piano. Almost got the equipment that we need to get that area up and running. Hopefully, video quality jumps up. And until the next live stream or the next video, this is Odat Nerd asking you to please have a sublime day as he fumbles for the button so he can rewrite some commits, push up, and go to sleep. Oh, 6 o'clock is going to come early. So early. Bye, guys.